Free socks.
The NHL playoff picture is still up in the air, but here in Winnipeg, fans are confident the arena will echo with the sound of white noise again.
Free socks.
Let's go! Go, Jets, go! Winnipeg is back in the big leagues and over the moon.
Oh, Mikey.
Welcome in.
Welcome back to the landing strip. Trade deadline edition 2025. And the vibes are sure a little different than they were leaving the show last night. I see over on Twitch, Sills, our Big Papa says, I'm a broken person, Nick. Sills trying to keep him up, saying we have some time. Glizzy Water Soup is saying, who else is feeling nauseous? And I gotta say, from some excitement to the West deciding to go potentially nuclear after we logged off last night, not feeling too hot. How are you doing today, Mikey?
God, I hate being right. I hate it. It's never about anything good. I just had this weird feeling we were going to end up in this situation where the big ad doesn't pan out, and here we are staring down that barrel, man. I'm worried. I'm not going to lie. I'm ready to start running around like my head's been cut off. I'm scared.
Yeah, it definitely was not great to see the Colorado Avalanche end up with Brock Nelson last night. And it turned out one of the theories we discussed was true. It's very clear at this point that the New York Islanders were using the Winnipeg Jets as public leverage to juice up the offer out of Colorado. Honestly, we were slandering Lou for not selling, and then he goes and makes a home run trade as far as assets. The cost was definitely up there.
Yep.
One of those deals, you look at it, Sawyer was right. You would have needed Braden Yeager in that deal just to compete with Colorado and Callum Ritchie. And then we have this Ranton and Dallas Stars thing hanging over our head. I'm nervous. I am nervous right now. It's not feeling like there's a lot out there to kind of keep up in this arms race.
Yeah, Lou got a haul for Nelson. Even if you were throwing Yeager and a first at them, they still probably would have taken Callum Ritchie and the first there. But I don't even know if you know that even if the Yeager ad was on the table for the rental, I don't know if even that would have got it done. So that's a tough one that to miss out. But yeah, good on Lou for getting an absolute steal, or not a steal, but getting a nice haul for Brock Nelson. And yeah, we're gonna have to see what. Sorry, go ahead.
I do got to say, though, I do got to push a little on the other side of this. It's clearly a seller's market, and at the end of the day, the market is what the market is. And,
Yep.
and Colorado's willing to pay and try and win a Stanley Cup. And I don't want to lose sight of that when we're talking about asset costs here. At the end of the day, it's not the asset cup. It's the Stanley Cup, as some guy on Twitter ranted about with
100%.
Carolina yesterday. So I just don't want to lose sight of that conversation here either.
Oh, 100%. I'm just saying I don't even like if they did offer Yeager, Lamoriello still might have said no and taken Callum Ritchie because I still think Ritchie's probably a better prospect than Yeager right now. At least he's viewed that way across a lot of the league and the scouts. So yeah, this, for all we know, Chevy did offer it up, right? Chevy offered up his best prospect for it, and it didn't work out. It's possible. It's hard to say, but we're going to have to see what plan B is here. You don't think that was part of the deal?
Not a chance. Based on Chevy's comments this morning, he saw that cost as undoable and unrealistic for him. One thing that did also come out now, Frank Saravelli's reporting that Brock Nelson wouldn't waive to Canada, and this is what pisses me off right now.
I missed that.
And we were talking last night about how like the insiders are used as leverage. It pisses me off that someone like Darren Dreger's reporting confidently that he'd waive. Saravelli's reporting confidently that he could potentially extend. And then 12 hours later, oh, this was never real. It's like you guys were the ones fucking parlaying this information and helping the Islanders out.
Yeah.
And there's just no accountability for that. So that type of shit pisses me off. And that's just a reminder these aren't real journalism. They are harbingers of information.
Yep.
But yeah, those details really bothered me this morning because it did feel like this was coming to Winnipeg, just how it was reported and everything. And he ends up in a division rival. Like last night was a gut punch. It really was.
Yeah, it hurts. And we talked about it yesterday. It felt strange that all of this was happening so publicly and in the media when that's never been the way that Chevy has worked and that Lou has worked. It was just such a strange situation that really should have been the first big red flag. So yeah, it's time to pivot. Hopefully Chevy's working the phones real hard right now because we need something else. There has to be a present coming in for us today, because if we finish out the day with Joel Armia and David Savard, I'm gonna be real sad, man.
And Harjivana says over on YouTube, it's why Frege is the best man. And I love to see my goat, Elliot Friedman, taking a run at Darren Drager today, who had a little insider animosity on deadline day. Go, Elliot, go. But before we dive in, because I see the chats looking for the pivot options, and there's going to be a lot to talk about. We're going to be filling the air times here, going through each thing. Let's kind of go along with what's kind of happened since we went off the air last night. Obviously, we're talking about Brock Nelson goes to Colorado in a deal that brings Islanders Oliver Shillington, who was reflipped to Anaheim for nothing right after.
Yep.
Callum Ritchie, a conditional first-round pick for 2026 that could end up in 2027, and a conditional third. And you start looking at the Avs depth chart, and that was an area I thought they were kind of exposed this year. We know it's no secret Nate Mack and Cale Makar could go win a game on their own.
Yeah.
And we saw a big one from them last night. But adding Brock Nelson and pushing Casey Middlesatt down to the 3C sure changes my outlook on their depth chart. How do you feel about the Avs with Brock Nelson now in the Central Division?
I fucking hate it, man. I fucking hate it. I was feeling real smug, about a week ago, looking at what Colorado had done so far up to this point and not really liking it all that much and going, I'm not that worried. I was excited about a big ad for the Jets so that we could go on and take the Avs out and maybe the first round. I don't know if things had worked out properly, but this completely shifts that perspective. The depth that it gives them is real nasty. And it's looking more like a repeat of last year if things kind of go that route, if the Jets don't have something to counteract this arms race, because yeah, that completely shifts the dynamic on that depth chart.
And here's what. So I've had one theory, right, that this was the type of deadline that might play into Chevy's hands. I'll say on the reverse of that, the prices going out, everything being around higher than you're used to seeing, or the prospects being elevated, is definitely not Kevin Shoveldayoff's wheelhouse. We know he has set values, and we've never really seen him move off of them. And I gotta say, being a Toronto Blue Jays fan in the summers and watching the MLB, and a Winnipeg Jets fan in the winter, I'm starting to wonder if I'm giving myself 12 years of insanity of dealing with the same situations, of getting stuck with this. You got a lot to like, and you don't have that piece that kind of gives you that boost. And you got the management group that won't overspend. I just see so many similarities with the Jays and the Jets right now, and I'm getting a little bit nervous as this deadline goes on.
Yeah, it's tough because you've got a great group overall. They're deep, they're playing well together, they're gelling, they're pulling all in the right direction. They're on top of the league, all those things. But like we've talked about before, it's really, really hard to get an impact player in the NHL, to get one of those top echelon guys. It's even harder when you're continually, making the playoffs, but, popping out first round. You're always in that kind of middle space. You're not bottoming out to where you're going to draft first overall, but you also have a management group that doesn't want to, get caught overspending and overpaying in free agency. So it's easy to get caught in that middle ground. And when you've got a group that's doing so well like this right now, and then all the other factors, right? You've got the cap space, you've got some prospect and pick capital as well to use. You really want that big ad because you don't get that opportunity to get it very often. And this is their shot. This is their chance. And then you see the guy that's the perfect fit, the one that would slide right in and give you that boost, go to your, division rival, the one that is responsible for knocking you out. It's frustrating. They're going to have to either get real creative, which is not usually their strength, or there's a surprise again out there. And we may just be, hoping on that one.
Hey, I'm hoping for a big surprise on the stream for the content purposes. I don't want to be depressed as this thing goes on. Let's continue. There's only a couple more trades to talk about, and then the chat has some good ideas that we're going to start diving into as well. Jake Wallman, obviously, that was a guy I was pretty big on potentially upgrading this decor, getting a top 4 caliber guy that would play behind Sandberg and Morrissey and hopefully bump out or at least minimize Logan Stanley's role on this team. He ends up going to the Edmonton Oilers for a conditional first round pick in 2026 and C prospect Carl Berglund. Talked about it last night. Great asset management from San Jose on this one. Great ad for Edmonton. And
Yeah.
this is one where the 2025 first, I would have been down to move it in this market for a guy like Jake Wallman.
Yeah, I'd be. I really like Wallman as well. I would have been fine moving a first to go grab him. I kind of wonder where he'd end up playing though, if in this group, because you know who is going to be taking that spot most likely, right? So I'd be a little bit worried to give up a high pick to have a guy sit in the press box, and we've seen Scott Arniel happily sit a guy who was just traded for up in the press box. So I'd be a little bit worried on that aspect of it, but I like Wallman, and yeah, great asset management by the Sharks on that one. That was a real stroke, and Edmonton gets a great player. Again, this sucks for us. It's great for everybody else.
And I see B Sarge 8 asks the thoughts on the Caps trade, which was the next one. So good timing there. The Washington Capitals do what's kind of, I think, is expected of them. We've kind of seen the Winnipeg Jets and the Washington Capitals get lumped together as teams that could potentially just use depth and chemistry fits. And I think that's fair when it comes to the Washington Capitals. I don't think the Winnipeg Jets are in the same boat as Washington in that regard. And Washington gets Anthony Bolivier for a second-round pick. I feel like a second's a little pricey, but we're going to be saying that as far as assets on every trade in this market.
Yep.
And Bolivier is just going to slide in and be a depth piece in Washington. The type of ad I think we should have been expecting out of Washington.
Yeah, it's definitely a little pricey. I wouldn't have wanted to give up a second just for that, but it's good for what they're trying to do right now when you look at the group overall. And yeah, I think pretty much every deal we're going to see today, we're going to go, man, that feels a little high, but you know, you do it if you're trying to win. And that's the point of today, right? Today is about, yeah, it's pricey, but you do it if you're trying to win.
Yeah, today's got check time, big time, especially with these deals moving. And then we have one last deal that's official, and we'll start diving into the chat where there's some pivot options. There's some thoughts on approach. I think this is a good one for the Jets, actually. The one that just dropped. Andrei Kuzmenko at 50% ends up going from Philly to Los Angeles for a third-round pick. LA also got a 7th in this deal. And the big talk seemingly was that Brad Marchand potentially was ending up in LA. So I'll take Andrei Kuzmenko there, though. Maybe I would prefer LA get better and try and take out Edmonton, though.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when you look at it that way. It's, do you want them to get better, so really beat up Edmonton in that early series, or do you just not want him to come to the side at all? And you know, maybe they don't find a dance partner for him. It's interesting. Would you be interested in Brad Marchand as a pivot option if now that there's no center options?
How could I possibly say no to that? I doubt we see that today, but I would get excited about the Rat in Winnipeg. How could you not?
That'll change the headlines.
It'll change the outlook. Yeah, it might force Arniel to do some things with his lineup that are different. And that's where I'm arriving at right now. This conversation we've continually had about the idea of trying Adam Lowry with Nick Ehlers and why it would open up routes at this deadline. That's what I keep thinking about after the Brock Nelson deal, is that the Winnipeg Jets have really limited themselves by not seeing if Adam Lowry could be that 2C.
Yeah, and we've seen it attempted and we've seen it work. It's kind of frustrating that we don't get that going forward, and I don't think we're going to. I'm going to be honest. I don't think the idea of, oh, we're just waiting until X, Y, or Z happens. We're waiting until everybody's healthy. We're waiting until the deadline. We're waiting until this. I don't think it's happening. I think the group we saw yesterday, that is a fully healthy Winnipeg Jets roster that Scott Arniel would like to ice when with that current group. You saw everybody in their assigned role. That is the spots for them. So yeah, it'd be interesting if a big winger ad would maybe try to shift something around if guys want to play in certain ways. But I don't know. I'm reluctant. It'd be interesting because if you get a big name with a big personality and a big star, right, who comes in and says, yeah, I want to play with so and so, and if Mark Scheifele goes, yeah, actually, I want to play with him instead of Kyle Connor. There's certain things where the dynamic may start to shift, but at the moment, I think that's just me hoping.
Yeah, we shall see. I see Michael Hems over on YouTube says checking in from the future at 2 p.m. to say Army and Savard will be the Jets, and we will be all extremely happy. I don't know if I'll enjoy myself at that hour if that's where we end up. Let's start diving into where the chat's getting hopeful. I see Big Papa says sounds like Besser on the move, and over on YouTube, someone had mentioned as well that where was it here? Aiden Shaw had said Besser to Winnipeg. Trade talks on Besser picking up. I've long believed that the Winnipeg Jets would have interest there. We kind of saw it with the Susie talk and having a connection. I've long wondered about the idea of Besser because of that UND spot. I do have the worries about the foot speed now, and I've said I want a different winger out of Vancouver. I guess that is one spot to watch for here.
Yeah, that's definitely something to keep an eye on. We know that there's been some rumblings there in the past, so it is something that, there's probably been some tire kicking. I've been a real big Besser fan for the last few years, but like you said, the foot speed is definitely starting to fall off. So, but if you can hide them in the right spot in the lineup with the right line mates, the shot is still there. I still think you can definitely work with that, especially on the power play. So, if it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely not what we're looking for, I think, right now.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. They got to be doing something here. They cannot stand on the sidelines in this position. The message it would send to the market, to the fan base, to the team, to trying to sell tickets. Like, I just refuse to think Kevin Cheveldayoff can actually do a Brandon Tanev or Joel Armia type deal, and that's going to actually convince anybody that they're serious. I just can't see it. I'm going to keep trying to remain hopeful, but I'll say this. You know what I don't have to pretend now? I don't have to pretend like I'm going to buy into the Dylan Cousins bet. Interesting move out of Buffalo and Ottawa today. Dylan Cousins, Dennis Gilbert, and a second-round pick go to Ottawa for Jacob Bernard-Docker and Josh Norris. And this is the prototypical two teams getting rid of their own problem contracts. Josh Norris can't get out of the hospital room, and spending over $7 million on a guy that won't be there is a tough task in the NHL. And then Dylan Cousins, who's scared of his own shadow. Ottawa's hoping to solve that issue. So interesting one there.
Yeah, I actually kind of like the bet for Ottawa. I'd rather be taking the shot on Cousins, who, just feels like a reclamation project, but is actually going to play, to Norris, who I feel bad for. His body just isn't able to hold up. And, maybe they'll get him some help up in northern New York for the medical stuff, So, yeah, I actually kind of like the deal for Ottawa, I'm going to be honest.
I don't see the Dylan Cousins thing. I just don't. I don't know what Ottawa thinks they're getting there. I was listening to TSN and they're talking about a guy that could scrap other than Brady Tkachuk, and it's like clearly they haven't watched Dylan Cousins consistently. That's not who he is. They're looking at a frame and pretending he's something. It feels like another Ottawa problem to come for me than a success story.
Yeah, it could flame out big time. And I like the bet if it works out. If you can get his head screwed back on straight, and you've got a player there.
Over on Twitch, I see two very contracting ideas here. Let's dive into them. Sill starts off with, man, I'd rather have gone full nuclear and moved Perfetti + for impact. So we'll dive into that side of things. And the reality is, if Logan Stankoven's the type of guy dealing with a Mikko Rantanen deal, if that gets across, there's avenues where I think Perfetti might have to be involved. And then Fat Tony 202 goes the complete opposite directions and says, time to trade Ehlers for Clark ++. If I ever sell something to Nick, I'm just showing up with the market as the market sign. What do you think of the wide gap of where people feel for the Winnipeg Jets right now?
Yeah, that's about right. That's about right with what's going on today. I'm real worried that we're just going to see those couple depth ads and then a whole lot of panic because that's not what we were expecting. It's not what not what the players deserve. The guys, deserve the big shake at this one, man. So, if it has to be a hockey trade, if it has to be Cole Perfetti for, something big because that's the deal that's out there for you, I still think you got to take that shot, and that's coming from, the treasurer of the Cole Perfetti fan club. So like I'm in today even more so now that we've seen, like I said, the arms race in the Central, jump up real big. It's got to be big today.
So on that Perfetti thing, I continue to be someone that says, hey, for me, anybody should be available to try and take that shot. And if Ryan O'Reilly was available, I think that's who Nashville's probably targeting. We'll see where that potentially goes, as that's a name that keeps coming up here. But I do want to dive into the contracting arguments here. And I think both have validity in their own right in the current Winnipeg Jets position, as crazy as that sounds. Number one, I fully believe the Winnipeg Jets should be willing to put everything, and I mean everything, on the table to get a notable upgrade to keep up in this ever-evolving Western Conference arms race. And you're seeing teams are willing to spend because it's going to be an open year. Though with moves today, it might get less and less open. That, hey, number one option, go find that ad. Go make the big trade, make the big swing. If it's not there, I think there's validity to what Tony's saying, and we would never see it. But if Kevin Cheveldayoff, who was quoted as saying the price was unrealistic earlier, if we're in this position where it's going to be impossible for them to come up to the idea that, hey, this is the cost and this is what it's going to take, and that assets are driving everything, hey, it's a seller's market. You have some really good UFAs. You're going to be a playoff team. If you come first in the West, you're going to win the playoffs anyways. Go turn Ehlers into a future stud that can play in this lineup right now. Go turn Pionk into a first-round pick. Like, I mean, why get stuck in the middle of this?
Yeah, it makes no sense. We talked about that you'd rather overpay at the deadline than in free agency. Because when you're overpaying at the deadline, that means you've built something that's already working. You've shown that, hey, we are in this fight. Let's go out and make that ad. You can't be afraid of losing something 4 years down the road when you have an opportunity to hang a banner now. It can't be from a place of fear. If we find out that it's just the price isn't there, that, somebody offered something more than what we had, hey, that means you took your shot, great. But if we find out that it's just, I didn't want to go up to that level, then yeah, that's a problem in my opinion.
Hey, if the end goal is to be the little brother in the league and just make sure you get quality assets and keep making first rounds, might as well cash in on the assets and keep going about it that way.
Yeah.
Like, this is what this deadline means to me at this point. You're first place in the NHL. You have 90 points. You've had multiple 7+ game win streaks. This team has shown everything. You're getting a heart level goaltender. You're getting some of the best years from the prime. If this isn't the year, there's never going to be a year. And if you're going to operate like the little brother and clutch on to future second line potential prospects, hey man, might as well just load up on those type of assets and keep cycling through the careers of guys we're going to have for 3 to 4 years, and take advantage of the value of Ehlers and Pionk. Like, that is how I see it at this point. If you're going to brush around the edges and go get a Brandon Tanev or Joel Armia, keep the assets in your pocket, and you're just not serious about winning this year at that end. You're just not.
Yeah, and it's not even like you can make the argument, oh, well, we just want to see what this group can do in the playoffs. We saw it. We saw it last year. We saw them finish 4th in the NHL in terms of points. Again, 8-game winning streak to round out the season. They go into the playoffs and just don't have enough big impact, big time players to hang with the elite of the league. It's just what it is. And we saw it. We watched it with our eyes last year. Not even last year, just in the playoffs. So it's not even like you can be like, well, you never know. It's like, yeah, we kind of do. We see where that is going to trend. That's why if you give them that help now, when you have the assets, when you have $12 million worth of accrued cap space to use at this point, to me, that's bananas to just go, yeah, I don't want to spend a prospect that, is probably going to be good in 3 to 4 years. That makes no sense to me at that point. This is the time. Overspend now to put that banner up so that you don't have to do it later.
Yeah, we'll bring in some hopium here after one more comment because Pat Phoenix gets me excited over on YouTube. But Sil, I think Sil makes a really strong point on why this feels so big, why we're having this conversation in this way. Sil over on Twitch says, from an organizational standpoint, you can't stand Pat. I actually think they tank the franchise if they do nothing and don't add impact. Slight exaggeration, but man, that's going to tank ticket revenue for next year as well. It's a genuine concern and something they have to factor into this. And I do think that's big. We've talked about it. This is a team still trying to work back from previous issues and trying to win back that season ticket base. If you're a non-committed member, and hey, I'm a season ticket holder this year. I've been very happy with being a season ticket holder. My experience this year with the Winnipeg Jets has been genuinely great. I renewed this past week. I got the playoff tickets, so maybe that was a little early with where this deadline's going. But I committed to that. I'm enjoying that experience. But if you're looking at a more general market, and you're just staring at this, and the Winnipeg Jets are finally the top of the cream of the crop. They have all this cap space, which management was smart to put themselves in a position for. I've highlighted in the past, Kevin Cheveldayoff's retool flies in the face of all the LTIR conversation you hear on TSN, Sportsnet, and how poorly that's been construed. Kevin Cheveldayoff was able to retool this team on the fly, getting out of LTR and making a lot of smart moves. But if we come to a holdup here, what is that message you're sending to prospective buyers that, hey, you're going to have a good regular season team that's quality to watch. You're going to have some fun throughout the year. But if they're never serious about winning a cup, that's a hard sell, man.
Yeah. So I'm going to be the pessimistic one again today. My pessimistic view on it is that Mark Chipman has looked at what the season has gone to up to this point where, yeah, they're the number one team in the league. They've been in first place for the majority of the season. They've set some NHL records. And they're still not selling out the building most nights. So the pessimist goes, well, then why are we going to add a bunch of extra salary and make all these, big shakeups if nobody's selling out anyways? We'll be fine with a, first round exit, or hey, maybe they'll even win in the first round depending who they get with this group, and you get 2 rounds of revenue, and they're fine with that. So, that's always kind of in the back of my mind there. And the other part we're real impressed with the cap space, what they've built up to this point. Like you said, it really throws it in the face of the LTIR conversation. They were able to buy out Blake Wheeler, a few years ago and still not, destroy their cap situation. But isn't Larry Simmons really kind of in charge of most of the cap stuff anyways, making those numbers work? I don't know if Chevy gets a lot of the credit. He should be. I'm kind of upset at this, at the whole situation right now. So yeah, it's a little frustrating because you've got all that cap space ready to go on a first place team. You're able to have enough there to still add a huge piece without having to, like you said, work the LTIR thing. And they're just not going to do it because you don't want to give up a prospect that you like.
Yeah, and I see Bill Young over on YouTube. Nice to see you in the chat. Bill asks, is it possible the Jets are treating Ehlers as a big deadline ad by simply not moving him? And I'll say I'm someone that just doesn't like this framework of looking at this. I mean, Nick Ehlers is on your team right now, and you still need more. Right from day one this year, my hot take on the season was this would be the first time the Winnipeg Jets let a skilled player walk out for free on the open market. I figured this team would be in the playoffs and not sign Ehlers, and we'd end up seeing him walk for nothing. And I just can't buy into that mindset that, hey, we didn't trade Nick Ehlers, so we're serious, because you didn't add on to the fact he's already here. Yeah. They could be looking at it like that way, and I think it's a big miss.
No, if we hear the words "he's our own rental," no, you're getting launched out of a catapult. We're not doing that. They're good the way that they are. They're not great, and they have that potential to be. So no, it better not be we kept Ehlers, so that's our deadline ad.
Well, here's ranting into Dallas done deal.
Come on.
Mikko Rantanen is a Dallas star, and he will 8 years, 12 million AAV. It sounded like last night, Logan Stankoven would be the key piece moving in this one. And yeah, about that arms race.
Yeah, got worse.
The Winnipeg Jets need to hold off Dallas for first in the division. There's no ifs, ands, or buts at this point. They need to come first in the Central and let Colorado and Dallas beat each other up for 7 games. Like that's the plan. That's the pathway at this point.
Yeah, that's their best shot. They need to stay consistent
Not
going
good.
forward. If there's any injuries, they're hooped. If you get an injury to
Oh,
one of
not
your top
good.
guys, Mark Scheifele, there's your season. You know, man, I'm real worried now. I'm sweating. We better see that Buffalo deal come through. We better see Alex Tuck in a Winnipeg Jets jersey real quick, real fast, baby. Come on.
Turn Ferguson says it was a good ride, boys and girls. Hope we all enjoyed it. Let's try and bring some fantasy optimism back in, because Pat goes somewhere I know I'd love to go, and is back to fantasy booking McCann, Alexiak, and Brandon Tanev for a first, Lambert, Heinola, and a third. And hey, if Chevy pulls that off, I'll feel better about our fighting chances. That's the type of move out of nowhere. And that's where this gets tough. Like, I think Chevy's done a really good job of finding quality pieces that might be available. And I found it interesting, Bob McKenzie, actually, and Bob still, despite being retired and enjoying the margaritas, as plugged in as they come, he started talking about the idea of Morgan Geekie, who we covered a couple of games ago, which would be a quality add to the top 9. RFA too. So there's pathways, and I think Chevy's done a pretty good job in his history of finding those pathways. I think that's what's so tough right now as we wait, is just looking at how the chips have fallen and looking at what's publicly available. I don't want Chevy to be the sucker on Scott Lawton.
Yeah.
And like that's the center you're looking at right now as far as publicly. The names right now aren't sexy, and you're hoping for an ad out of nowhere, I think.
Yeah, it has to be something we're not expecting. Scott Lawton is an upgrade on Kapari. Yay, I guess. That's, he's not better than Lowry. He's not better than Vlad. Like, so yay, we got a 4th line center upgrade for $3 million. Like that can't be the ad. It cannot be. No, I refuse to believe that's going to be it. It has to be something out of nowhere. We have to get the I feel like Randy Orton stalking us somewhere. It's got to be an RKO out of nowhere. It just has to happen to us today.
Sil says, Nick, it's Chevy Classic time. And hey, I'm pulling for it. There's still optimism that he pulls something off. Fat Tony is poking the same bear Big Papa said. I never said Mikko Rantanen was not good. I said without Nick Ehlers beside him and transitioning in Winnipeg, I don't know if he's the ad with the centers in Winnipeg.
Yeah, want them
if
together.
they were to find him a center, that's a different story. Dallas is a whole different setup when you look at their forward group. Let's not take that out of context here. Voth, nonverbal Nick is here. Not yet, but we could be trending there. Julian Labossiere says, is McCann still on the market after they sold Gordon Bjorkstrand? A genuine question.
Good question.
Who
actually.
knows?
Yeah.
Noah Lafort, upon getting the news of Rantanen, says time to sell Pionk and Ehlers. And hey, if you're not willing to pony up, I get it. Go get the future assets and really take advantage of the seller's market. It's hard for me to argue if you're going to focus on the asset cost. That's the better way of going about asset costs in business. Like,
can you imagine if Chevy came out at a press conference today after they had traded Pionk and Ehlers and just went, you know what? Nah, we're gonna retool this one instead, guys. We got some real good deals.
It's never happening. But
No.
hey, maybe he announces that Pionk extension to try and bring the good vibes. We'll see.
God, what if it's a Pionk and Ehlers extension?
Depends on what it looks like, I guess.
All right.
Dante Violet says, Yoel Armia and Brock Besser, and we are going to openly weep as end up the second wild card.
Just what have I done to never be allowed to escape Joel Armia? What have I done in life? Why?
Yeah. I agree with Glizzy Water Swoop. Fat Tony says Dallas has no center that could work with Rantanen, and I agree. Like, look at Rupe Hintz. I think Something like that could work. I think he's a much more impactful player there than what Winnipeg's currently working with up the middle. We know we've talked about the idea of upgrading from Vlad Nemestikov.
Yep.
We know the Jets aren't splitting up 81, 55, and 13, despite the fact that they may be shit. You really think Vlad Nemestikov was going to get the most out of Mikko Rantanen? I have questions.
We need to have a discussion.
We need to have a real conversation here. So,
Okay, I think I've settled in that it's got to be Buffalo. It's got to be a deal with Buffalo because I don't think, as chat pointed out, now that Gordon Bjorkstrand have moved off, I'm not really sure if Seattle's going to be as interested in dumping McCann. So I think the shift has got to be straight back to Buffalo. And like you mentioned yesterday, that Alex Iafallo on the trade board is a real interesting little nugget.
So here is my theory on Buffalo. One question I have is, do they look at Cousins for Norris as the shakeup? This was the classic shakeup. We swapped a guy out for a guy, and let's just try and see what happens here.
I would say not for Buffalo, just because I don't know if you're expecting Norris to to be playing very often. They may still be looking to kind of change the faces in the room a bit. So that's where I'm gonna put my hopium still right now.
So I'm gonna keep killing this because I have a theory here.
Hit me.
There was a lot of talk that Vancouver really valued Josh Norris because he's really tight with Quinn Hughes, and we know that they're in a full court press to keep Quinn Hughes if they can. I just wonder if you see both teams make
We got to trade Nick.
Josh Norris EP40 type swap.
Luke Shen from Pittsburgh to the Winnipeg Jets.
Oh, baby.
There you go.
Hey, we saw they were close to Luke Shen before the Pitt deal. Luke Shen and Logan Stanley, third pair. Get ready, Winnipeg.
Baby.
The memes are gonna be incredible. The memes. Oh, this is gonna be sweet. Go get a lefty. Please go get a puck moving lefty. If I have to watch Logan Stanley and Luke Shen try to defend on a team that's trying to win a Stanley Cup, I just might go to one of the bridges in the city and just figure this out because are you kidding me?
Oh, that is absolutely wonderful. The two of them together. Hey, you ready for the first call of the day?
Let's get on the phone lines.
Hey, caller, thanks for calling into the landing strip.
We just traded for Luke Shen. Go check the board. Season's over, boys.
Yes, we just did.
A second and a fourth at that, too. Luke Shen might be the fifth best right-handed D in Winnipeg right now.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Honestly, yeah, he's probably the fifth best D, and he's going to be playing on the third pair. So buckle
Logan
up, baby. Stanley Shen going to be going out against Brock Nelson and Mikko Rantanen.
Oh, no. Noah Laforte says, according to Marat, we're also getting close on Tanev.
Yep.
Oh, it's so over, guys. It is so over. Oh, my good God.
Still trying to confirm on that one.
Brandon Tanev and Luke Shen.
Hey, it's not Joel Armia and David Savard, so you know.
I'd rather Armia than Tanev at this point.
I'd honestly
we just traded for a forward that you won't notice if he's missing his stick when he's playing. I mean, we watched it forever.
Yep. A second and a fourth for Luke Shen. A second. What are we doing? It was too high of a price to go out and acquire Brock Nelson, but we're happily paying a second for Luke Shen. What do we?
Hey, get Luke Shen a puck mover. Get Luke Shen a puck mover.
I just. Wow.
Get him a puck. I don't mind Luke Shen if it's not beside Logan Stanley.
But it will be. You know it will be. You know it will be. Who are they getting
this-
that's gonna displace Logan Stanley on that left hand side? Maybe Jamie Alexiuk. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's your best shot at it. I don't
Wow.
know who else you could. All right, you ready for the next call?
Ready for a call?
Hey, caller, you're on the landing strip. What's your name? What would you like to talk about?
Hey boys, it's King Canadian here.
Hey, King.
I'm sick. Are you kidding me, Chevy? This is all in. Luke Shen, nail gun, Tanev. That means we're getting Braden Shen, and you know that too. He's bringing him in, gonna reunite the brothers. It's over. The season's over. Chevy's a joke. I'm sick. One thing I gotta say, being from Saskatchewan, having Luke Shen on the team is kind of fun, but we know he's playing with Logan Stanley, maybe the tallest third pair ever. I'm sick, boys. Have a good day.
Thanks, King.
Thanks for calling in and saying what you need to get off your chest. The deadline's not over till it's over, but the vibes
right.
could never be lower than right now. This was the pain and the misfortune of potentially doing a live stream right now. As I'm just sitting here just wanting to go bang my head against the wall, and I gotta figure out some words to say. This is not good.
You get the real unfiltered view of the day, at least this way, folks. So you can enjoy our pain as we sit here and stare at Luke Shen on our third pair with Logan Stanley. That's going to be something to watch, boys and girls. It'll be exciting, at least. You can't say it won't be entertaining.
Yeah, hey, we're gonna get some clips. We're gonna get some entertainment. One day we'll look back at this and laugh. But if the plan is really Logan Stanley, Luke Shen as the D upgrade, oh, good God, guys.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. Going to be a tough one to watch.
Ross Kilberry, nice to see you in the chat. Ross says, I'm banging my head on my desk right now, and somebody just walked by my office door. They asked if I was okay, and I just said, Jets at the trade deadline.
You ready for the next caller?
Yeah, let's go.
Hey, caller, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip. What's your name?
Hey, boys, not to add to the wake here, but Murat Atesh is reporting that we're close on landing Brandon Tanev right now.
Yes, sir. We just saw as well. That's going to be a tough one. Thanks a lot.
Oh, come on, Chevy. Make this. Hey, it's not done until it's done. It's not done until it's done. This deadline is not done until it's done. Maybe the depth pieces came first. Maybe something comes up late in the afternoon here.
You got to shake those out first so that we can get to the big ones right away. Here we go.
I don't mind the depth pieces if you get an impact swing. Like, let's look at the total picture. The total picture is not done. I don't mind this if a swing comes, but it has to come now.
That's right. Ready for the next call? Hey, caller, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip.
I'm gonna cry, man. I'm gonna cry. I swear to God. Oh. Dude.
That's what we're here for today.
Oh
It's
my-
like support group.
Dude.
Let it out.
Oh my God. I feel like we're at a funeral, man. No.
It's starting to shape up that way.
I know. I gotta be honest. I had this is your average Jets fan on Twitter, Nick. I'm so sorry. I'm just like, shit, man. I came home after a long day, and I look at my phone, and I just see my buddy text me, Nelson to the Avs. My knees buckled. I was like, no.
It's been a tough 12 hours here, my man. It's been a tough 12 hours.
Oh, man. It's just like, I do think, just to add a little bit more substance to this, for all of the talk during the regular season, whether it be Drager or whoever, saying like the Jets don't want to ruin their chemistry and yada, 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 and all this other BS. How do Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuck feel that every other team in the West has loaded up and they are all quite definitively better lineups than them, and then they see Luke Shen and like Brandon Tanev walk into the room? It's a different animal, man. Like, for all the talk about chemistry,
we dodged the Scott Lawton bullet.
Did we?
we did.
There's some good news.
Yeah, we did. We'll see. There's still time left, but like, oh my God, it's just like I don't understand if we're not in this to win a Stanley Cup. Like, I don't see the point of conserving assets because Gabe Velarde is going to make like $8 million next year. Dylan Sandberg should get more money than whatever we give Neil Pionk, even though it probably won't shape out that way. You have so many contributions from guys just playing above their contracts, and that's just fueled into why we're in the position that we are, and to just see us be conservative is just such a gut punch. It really is.
Oh,
Yep.
I'm sick right now.
I'm sorry. I know you guys are just dying on this live stream.
Hey, I appreciate you calling in, and I appreciate your thoughts. I'm right in line with everything you had to say. At a time, I'm searching for words. You've really helped me fill the gaps, man. You've really helped me fill the gaps.
No worries, boys. I'm going to stick around on this live stream and I'm going to go eat some ice cream now. Take care.
Right on, thanks.
I'm gonna need as a bit of an ice cream. That's kind of my weak spot. I'm gonna need a nice big bowl after I get off today. That's for sure.
Yep.
Bullsy says it's like Trump fired our FAA and the jets are falling out of the sky.
Yeah, pretty much.
Someone had asked. Sorry, we've been all over the map here. Someone had asked who Brandon Tanev even takes out. I'm gonna guess Morgan Barron on the fourth line.
Yeah, I would assume Morgan Barron. Ready for the next call?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Hey, caller, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip.
Brandon Tanev to the Jets for a second and 27.
Oh, here we go.
I'm sick, boys. This is horrible.
Can't believe this is the route we're going. Yep. Can't believe this is the route we've chosen. And for a second.
For a fourth liner, I hope this means Iafallo is going to Buffalo somehow, but we know it's not.
So somebody explained to me how we were able to pay 2 seconds for a fourth liner and a third pairing defenseman, and that's totally fine. But the ask for Brock Nelson was way out of what we would ever be close to wanting to do. I'm shocked.
Thing is, though, that part, the fact that he kind of came public and said that it was unrealistic asset-wise.
Don't say that out loud. Don't say that out loud if that's the case, my guy.
Yeah.
Anyways, boys, I'll talk to you later. I'll probably call it a few more times, but anyways.
We appreciate the updates.
I'm hoping there's some retention on Tanev for a second-round pick.
You know, shout out to Bullsy 10. This is bringing Matt Hendricks back a second time. That's this is what that feels like.
At least he's a bit of an upgrade on Barron, but yeah, not much.
Not by much.
Fat Tony also points out, just so everyone knows, there's a real chance Chen isn't on the third pair. A real chance he plays with JMO, and you're looking at DeMello and Stanley on the third pair, which that's definitely there.
Yeah, I guess it's possible, but oof.
Yeah, this is tough. I don't mind these type of moves if you go address a bigger swing in the top four or the top six.
Has to be part of something bigger.
If this is the first part and Chevy surprises us, I don't mind this as much as we feel right now. I think that's important. There's still time here. But as we're sitting here today, I think Bill Young sums it up best. How long before we bring back Nick Antropov? This is horrible. And that's the vibe right now. That is the vibe right now.
Is Olli Jokinen out there? He was a second line center.
Oh, man. That's 2 2s and a 4th for your 6th or 7th best defenseman and your 12th best forward now. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Like, I don't understand the valuation. It doesn't make sense to me how those, like, when you're in the big picture, you know what I mean? Like you said, if it's part of something else, great, awesome. You know, we need more bodies. We need the depth. But if these are the moves, and they're the moves because the higher end one was just too pricey, I don't know, man. I don't get it. And
here's where I get a little nervous too is Fat Tony says Chevy isn't giving up 2 seconds and taking a big swing, and that's where I tend to think too, just based on how he's done business and held on to assets in the past. And that's where this gets a little nerve-wracking. At least, hey, we're getting Sills saying Saravelli just poo-pooed Braden Shen to Winnipeg, so at least we won't cripple the next 3 years. So that's good.
Little victories. And yeah, if he's going with those moves and putting out 2 seconds, the only way you're going to see any type of meaningful ad most likely is if it's a hockey trade, right? If it's not so much just dumping out prospects and picks for another rental or something like that. So, maybe there's still something in the cards, praying at Buffalo, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, we'll see. Braden Ross is saying, I'm hearing Paul Postma for Lambert and a first. Ross Kilberry is saying, let's rebuild the team with players that played here before and couldn't get it done with the middle finger.
Is Zach Redmond around? I still have his game use stick.
Jason Honk says, Chevy shopping in the bargain bin and paying top-tier prices is a choice. Noah Laforte says, rumor is Scott Lawton to the Leafs for a first-plus package, so thankfully they missed that. That was a grenade. The thing with the Scott Lawton thing, and I get why some people wanted him, especially with the C need. The way I looked at Scott Lawton, I don't see him as better than Vlad or Lowry, so you're looking at paying a first-plus for a 4C, and that was just something I would not have been interested in. No,
we only pay seconds to upgrade our fourth line, damn it.
Yeah. Apparently, Leafs were close on Shen, but Shen did not want to waive his no clues, so they moved over to Lawton. But Lawton feels like the massive grenade. So I see Jordan Voth trolling me in the chat with nonverbal Nick. Scott Lawton is your big ad, so it could be worse.
Enjoy that one.
Yeah, enjoy that one.
I will enjoy.
Hey, you know what? We're running with the vibes. Still says it. Tanev back for the vibes. Let's see how far the vibes carry us.
There you go. Great. Hey, crazier things have happened, right? You never know. Maybe Connor Hellebuck goes full Patrick Waugh and just carries the group all the way through.
That's what we're gonna need. We're gonna need. Hey, Connor Hellebuck, if you're listening, Dominic Hasek style. We need you, buddy. We believe in you.
Gilbert Marion asks, Tanev can't play third line instead of Appleton?
Does it make a difference?
They're the same guy.
Like, you get a little bit more speed, a little less touch. I mean, in that spot, they just need a guy that could finish. And Tanev, if he's missing his stick, you're not going to notice.
You never know.
Putting pucks in. All Brandon Tanev is a guy that could forecheck fast and skate fast.
But he's really fast. And he takes good pictures for his team photo every year.
He's got to be excited about the idea that he might get beside Lowry to get another big fat paycheck.
Yeah,
I mean, Lowry got him his deal already once.
Got him paid once. He'll do it again. Yeah, I'm starting to get worried here that this is not going to be going the way that we were really hoping for.
Mo Lester says, elbows up, boys, and it sure feels like it right now. Pat Fina says, I like Tanev, him and IFL are going to buzz around. And yeah, it's the type of fourth line that's going to be a handful to play against. Yep. But unless they can go get a top 4 level D-man or a top 6 level scorer, I just don't think it's going to make the difference. I think you're looking at this team needs to come in first place now. They need to get that wild card team, 2 team to get through. Like, I think they'll still, I'm still confident that they can very quickly make work out of whoever comes in that 8 seed. After that, though, good God.
It's going to take some individual heroics at that point if they're going to go deep. Because, we've seen what happens when this group is off in any way, shape, or form. One player is missing, and the whole kind of chain starts to crumble apart. So it's gonna be tough to go at it without a big ad here, I think.
Pat says also, I like this actually, and this might be what we're rolling with moving forward. Tanev, Iafallo, and Kupari is the most cardio line of all time.
It's true.
Talk about a line that's going to skate hard and give you shifts that you could be proud of and just get absolutely nothing positive done in the meantime. There's going to be a lot of cardio done on the fourth line in Winnipeg.
Yeah, their Apple Watches are going to be getting a workout during those games. Those guys they'll be going fast and they'll be going far, but yeah, I don't think we're going to see a lot of offense out of that group.
Fat Tony brings up the point. Do the Jets need to move out some forwards, right? Obviously, the forward depth chart gets a little deeper, adding a Brandon Tanev. Safe to say it's going to be hard for a guy like Gus when Kupari gets back to see some games now.
Yeah.
Still do wonder about that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who gets in, but yeah, I think that's going to be real tough for Gus. He's going to have to hope for Kupari injuries and, just because otherwise, yeah, it's going to be real tough having him and Barron there.
Bill Young asks, how much of this is Winnipeg's players simply not wanting to come to Winnipeg versus Chevy not being able to do it? I think there's a very big mix on both. Obviously, the no trade clauses really, really, really impacts his ability and what markets he can be in. But I do also think this is a situation, kind of like I said with the Toronto Blue Jays, right, where if you're there and you're close and you need that upgraded piece, I think Chevy is so prone to sticking within his evaluation and not a perceptive overpay that I do think that gets in their way as well when opportunities come up. I do think obviously the no trade clauses has a ton to do with it. And it would be disappointing if that's like the big roadblock of a first place team with Connor Hellebuck in a heart race, Josh Morrissey seen as highly as he is, some of the forward contributions, but yeah, I do think Chevy and his evaluations kind of cost him as well on some of this.
Yeah, absolutely. We know the Jets like to work off of their own list, right? We've seen it at the draft. We've seen it in free agency. The guys that are on the big public national boards generally aren't the ones that they tend to attack at, right? So, but that can also backfire when you get into these type of situations where there is an obvious answer to something, a guy that fits real nicely. But if he doesn't exactly fit where you thought, and then you don't want to pay for it, it gets into this weird space where we are right now, where we're going to add a bunch of depth for overpayments, but we're not willing to add skill at an overpayment. So it sends a mixed message. And then when you come out and publicly say, oh no, the price was just too high on that for us, that doesn't make you look better. Like, I think that was a mistake.
At least they didn't give up a first round pick in Grabenkin for Lawton. Like I said, missed that grenade.
Bacon and a first for Lawton. That's rough. My condolences, Jordan. Sorry, Bob.
I'm glad that they didn't do that. I gotta say, I need Big Papa to send me his dealer's number because he's got the pure hopium stuff going on. Saying Tanev is a nail gun. I'm optimistic about him. That's the only line that could skate with Nate and Nekis. And if your concept is that you're excited about the idea of the Jets' fourth line potentially matching up with Nate McKinnon and Martin Nekis, you're on the good stuff. Send some my way, and don't get too confident in that idea. That's all I'll say on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna try real hard to be positive on both of them. It just can't be the only. It just can't be the only trade. It just can't be the only move for them today. And like it's been echoed multiple times by a lot of the guys in the chat as well. It just can't be the only things we're doing today. It can't be only depth, only vibes. They need the help.
Vibes, baby. Just ride the vibes.
And
the worst part is if this is all that's done, all you're gonna hear on TSN is, "Oh, this is exactly the type of deadline the Winnipeg Jets needed. They just messed around the chemistry." And then when everyone's disappointed come April, it is what it is.
Yep. And they'll come out and they'll tout the farm system. They'll come out and talk about the prospects that they kept and how great they are and how exciting that it's going to be to have them. And we're going to be a youth movement in only a couple years, so they'll fill in for those spots and blah 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 blah. And it'll be a whole lot of bullshit because that's not what this should be about. It's frustrating.
Hey, I'm back. I got one. I'm back to bringing back Brendan Dillon. Do you see the Jonathan Kovacevic contract?
No, hit me.
5 years times $4 million for Jonathan Kovacevic. And I mean, holy, talk about a guy that left here at the altar of Logan Stanley and would look really good on our right side right now.
Yeah.
The Devils are going to have to move off money on that decor. I know they're trying to stay in it. They have like 8 to 10 NHL defensemen and top prospects on D. Kind of a Chevel's day off spot where he's brought back Appleton, he's brought back Stastny, despite missing on them in free agency. Now he's brought back Tanev. I just wonder about the idea of Brendan Dillon and looking at Morrissey, Shen, Pionk, Sandberg, Dillon, and DeMello.
It'd be interesting. Would
Just a theory.
Yeah.
Shot in the dark.
What does Dillon have for his contract?
This year plus 2 more at $4 million. I believe that was
Okay.
kind of the holdup with the Jets. I think the Jets wanted to go 2 years.
They didn't want to do the extra year.
I believe that's kind of where that was going.
That'd be an interesting reunion then to see him come back.
If you want to get tougher to play against on D and kind of deepen this thing out and not play Logan Stanley,
That's a way to do
an
it.
option.
Yep.
Not something I would expect, but we're
Oh,
just
God, no.
Throwing it out there.
But it would be nice.
I don't know, man.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Sounds good. I'll dive into the chat. Big Papa says it's a much bigger, more physical D than last year, and it's a D core that can move the puck even worse than last year, and that was one of their biggest problems when the games got tighter. I will continue to say, as much as people want size and stuff, they need at minimum another puck moving defenseman for when these games get tighter. So we'll see what happens. Julian Labassier says, wait, Shen has another year on his contract? Oh, baby, yeah. Luke Shen's got another year, man. Let's see. Julian Labassier has moved towards fantasizing about Casey or Nemec, getting a young D-man for the future in here out of the Devils. Gilbert Marion's down to do anything that gets Stanley out, and that's where I'm at, especially with the idea of Luke Shen being in town. Like, if they're serious, they can't finish here. Jason Honk says, I'm starting to hate speculating on what this could be for this team. Chevy forever disappoints. See, I have a little bit of trouble for that because Chevy has made some bigger swings at each deadline. Some have worked out, some haven't. And I'm not confident he's not done yet. We still do have time here. And the full picture is not done until the deadline rings. So I'm not ready to go there yet. Julian says, safe to say these moves definitely send a message that this team is going for a cup. They definitely don't at this point. No worries.
Alrighty. Bobo.
Bobo, yeah.
Hit it.
Bobo McBooboy. Hey, Nick, Connor here. I agree with you right now. He's made plenty of bigger swings. Just hate when fans claim we don't do anything still. And there's a line to it because Chevy has gone out and made solid swings. Until today, I think Chevy's been on a real good trajectory for like 3 years now since Paul Maurice walked out of making really good bets, really rebuilding the depth of this team, really getting this team to the point that it's at first, and we felt optimistic that they finally take a swing.
Yep.
The other side of it, we haven't seen him dip into that farm system in a notable way to get the level of swing that's needed. Maybe it comes today. It's still early. I think this team believes they're serious. We'll see if something happens.
Yeah, we've seen that it tends to be they value prospects over the picks themselves. They're definitely willing to move picks to try to get rentals, but they've been really reluctant to move off of their prospects. One thing we've talked about at length is that Chevy and the organization are very, very attached to their prospects. Once they've drafted a guy, they view that as a part of the team already, even before they've ever put on a real Winnipeg Jets jersey. So yeah, they get a little hung up on wanting to hold on to quote unquote their guys. So it's tough when you see the teams all around you getting a hell of a lot better, and you're sitting here going, yeah, but in 4 years, Braden Yeager.
The Moose Knuckler, nice to see you, Cars, in the chat, says the Jets need that top 6. They need it. Nothing else matters. D depth is great, but come on, Chevy, take us home.
Take us home.
Caleb has me laughing here with, let's be clear, we are all looking forward to the new Brandon Tanev poster. Pat says, I think Jets fans will love Shen as soon as he kills someone and feeds another person a knuckle sandwich. He destroyed Wi-Fi last year, just trying to be positive. And he brings those elements that'll make him a fan favorite. I don't think Pat's wrong there. I just think when you look at the construction of this decor, when you look at the reality, if they lost Morrissey or Sandberg for one game even, and what's left behind them, and you look at the inability of Neil Pionk to move a puck in your top 4, the inability for Logan Stanley or Luke Shen, who will be your third pair unless something more comes, to move a puck, you put yourself in a real tough spot as the pressure ramps up come playoff time.
Yeah, 100%. You know, we talked earlier on some of the other shows that they may want somebody to come in so that Lowry doesn't have to keep breaking his hand on everybody's face. And as much as they've wanted Logan Stanley to do that, and, you know, kudos to the guy for, you know, actually trying to get into some of those fights. He's not a fighter. He doesn't have that type of, you know, quote unquote killer instinct. He's a big boy, but he doesn't have that type of energy in him. And you see it in those fights, right? So that's why Lowry ends up a lot of the time still having to step in and having to, you know, potentially hurt himself. So I'm not surprised they brought in somebody to, you know, maybe take some of that pressure off of Lowry to feel like he has to be the one scrapping and getting into the dirty spots. But it can't be the only thing when you're going to have in your division now 2 of the top guys added to the teams that you're competing with. It has to be more.
Julian says, I'm not confident Chevy is willing to spend to put this team over the top. And I think it's the biggest question hanging over this team on that end of things. I think they've done a lot of things right. Today's the toughest day I've had with Chevy in a few years. So there's that. Jason says, I can't put stock in any of that. Nick, Chevy disappoints a lot more than he hits home runs. B-Dub1000 says, which makes 0 sense since they let them rot. Hainala never got a chance. Lambert and Chibi only got a couple of games.
Yep.
And we know that the Jets try and over-marinate. The value goes down. At some point, and you look at the farm, and it's so deep in forwards, there's never going to be enough spots. Even if you were rosy about everybody panning out, it just would be silly not to trade off some of that for real help right now.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. You have this opportunity. You have all the pieces available to make the move. You can't be afraid of the price. At some point, you have to push in.
Hey, you most certainly can't be afraid of the price after doing 2 2s and a 4 for
Right?
Luke Shen and Brandon Tanev to fill out your 12th and 6th D spots.
Like, big picture, it doesn't make any sense to me that you're willing to overpay to upgrade your 4th line and your 3rd pairing, but the skill add that would put you potentially over the top, and even, like, there's no way to know the future, right? We can't say for sure that adding Brock Nelson wins them the Stanley Cup, but we can see what he would add to the team. We can see where that would kind of start to pan out. And like on top, the one thing you can guarantee is, man, that makes you the story of the league. You're the first place team, and you added the piece that everybody said is the thing that you need. You'll definitely start selling some more tickets. You'll sell some of those jerseys. Like, you know, even as an organizational thing, it makes sense eventually to make that big push. So and then to come out this morning and say, the price was just too high. That was something we didn't want to get into. That's just what a self-own. Like, you shot yourself in the foot by telling us that it was a price issue, not we just couldn't make it work. So yeah, it's real frustrating. I hate being right.
Big Papa says Colin Miller has to hate Winnipeg. And that's an interesting aspect of all of this. Talk about a weird career in Winnipeg for Colin Miller. To go with Bobo McBoo Boy says, we do have to be careful with these ads. What did Monahan and Toffoli really do for us come playoffs in the Avs series? Toffoli was a straight liability, and I watched Mon giving up on shifts. So I'm going to say this because I know Bobo wasn't too happy with me last year. I was someone that had said the day of the Monahan trade, I didn't think he was the right type of center to put this team over, and it wasn't popular. And then I think he actually performed better in Winnipeg than I was giving him credit for, especially on the PP. He became a big piece of that bumper and seeing adjustments there. But that's the thing, like, swinging at that level was not enough to get you across, mostly because of the pace issues that came with getting two guys that could not play up the pace.
Yeah.
This team would look even worse against Colorado this year, despite the 90 points right now, without an ad. I just can't buy it. I can't
Especially
buy
with
that.
the ad that Colorado
chemistry
just
and
made.
what's going on. And the one that Dallas is going to make too. Like, all these moves matter, big picture.
Yep. That's the issue, right? Everybody around you has just gotten significantly better, and you're coming at them with the same group that got walked last year in the first round. So, and like, Luke Shen doesn't change that. If you add Luke Shen to that group last year, that does not change what Colorado does to the Jets. So it's
Yeah. Jordan Voth asked, what does a deadline date like this do to the dressing room? Very, very good question. I think, obviously, Luke Shen's the type of guy I think is really well respected around the league, so I don't think people will be upset walking in there.
Yeah.
And we know Brandon Tanev is quite cozy with some guys, so I think the team will be happy to see those guys walk through the door, but it's got to be a little bit demoralizing as far as not swinging bigger. I ask what it does in the room, what it does for the fan base and tickets, what it does for the coaching staff and management if it falls flat again early in the playoffs. And I tend to agree with Bill Young here, saying forget chemistry, forget price. At a certain point, Chevy needs to give the fans something than the lessers of Tanev and Shen families. And again, agreed wholeheartedly. For this team to feel like they're serious this year, he's going to have to supplement this with something bigger. Nice to see my boy Zazer in the chat, who says, waiting to hear Tucker Paterka. And hey, he goes and gets Tucker Paterka out of Buffalo. The mood in this chat, the move on this screen is going to change in a hurry.
Oh yeah, big time. Go get McLeod and Tuck, and let's go. Let's start it up.
And just to hammer home this point about being willing to move off prospects. So Julian Labossiere says here, prices are stupid this year, and giving out major packages that require blue chip prospect is not Chevy's MO. I'm not confident that the major swing is coming. On the reverse of this, I don't believe outside of Elias Tomlinson, the Jets have blue chip prospects. They have a lot of quality prospects you could project to get to the NHL. There's no one I'm looking at as like a star that you can't move off of. And then if you're looking around right now, thanks Noah for adding this to the chat. According to Jeff Merrick, Stankoven and 2 firsts is the return for Rantanen. So the Dallas Stars, in a win now window, seeing the openness of the West or of the league, is willing to move a Logan Stankoven off their roster, who was great for them last year, and 2 firsts to go get Mikko Rantanen. Colorado is willing to give up their best prospect and a first to go get Brock Nelson. We saw Tampa Bay give up 2 firsts for Bjorkstrand and Gord, who I think that's the best trade of a buyer so far, despite the talk of it being an overbuy. For me, that's the best buy so far.
Yep.
Guess what? It's going to cost if you want to keep up with the Joneses. And you're the first place team with your stars committed, with cap space both this year and next year, and the assets to make a move. You have to get off the wallet here.
You have to. There's no reason not to. You can't be so attached to the what might be in a young player that's when you have this group right now in front of you going, man, this is our shot. Like you have to have some loyalty to that group too, right? To the ones on the ice playing in the NHL to go out and get them that help. It's frustrating.
No retention on either Shen or Tanev, by the way. Thank you, Mooch, Winnipeg, for that.
Yep, great.
B-Dub says contenders build up assets for days like today, and that's what the Jets are in the position for, right? They built up the asset of cap space, which is the most important asset in the business of the NHL, more so than even the names we talk about. I think as fans and people following this game, we get excited about names, but really this business does come down to the business of money within a cap, and the Jets are in that spot. The Jets have a solid farm system right now with a lot of projectable NHLers, but nothing like that you're convinced is going to be a star. They have the team performance. This is the moment, and they have the future cap if you need to add term onto it. So this is the moment you build up this situation for, and it's time to get uncomfortable.
Yeah, if you look at the cap space management, the asset management in terms of picks and prospects, you would give the management group a pretty good grade, right? Like those three things are fantastic. They've done an excellent job to maneuver themselves into this position. But now when it's time to pull the trigger and cash in on all of that hard work, we've decided to go kind of milquetoast middle of the road and just kind of grab some depth and, not shake up the apple cart, and we're just going to move on. I don't get it. I truly don't.
Big Papa, Nick pounding the nicotine, blame Chevy. Yeah, it's the angst and stress are on right now. Fat Tony makes a point. People seem real mad at Chen deal when the Tanev deal is so much worse. I don't get it. And yeah, I think there's legit utility with Luke Shen. As much as it's not the sexy D ad, I do think he can help. I don't know if he's one of their best right-handed D, which makes this interesting, but I think he could really help what they're looking for. They need to get him a partner, though. That is not Logan Stanley. I guess maybe they're using him for Morrissey. Go get Dylan DeMello a partner that's not Logan Stanley.
We know neither of those things are happening, though, so he's playing with Stanley. DeMello's going to stay with Morrissey. I'll bet my life on it.
I'm not sure. They've been flirting a lot with DeMello going down.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. We'll see what happens. But yeah,
I mean, neither is awfully sexy if Stan's still in that 6th spot. So
no, neither is. Yeah, which he is.
I just got quite the text. I would like to confirm it for myself, but I guess Kevin Sawyer's talking somewhere, and he suggested that Tanev could replace Perfetti on the Ehlers line, which just sounds crazy to me. and if that's part of the plan, let's just pack her in. Let's trade Nick Ehlers for a haul at this point. If that's where the plan is here, oh good God. Sawyer, what are you talking about, buddy?
Where? I need to know where he said this. Oh my God,
it was on TSN.
It was on TSN. Great.
Zazer says needs scoring, can't rely on the selected few 100%. And that's the thing, like the Jets clearly have scoring talent. The top line, when they're hot, can score. Nick Ehlers can move the needle offensively, but they still need another piece in that 6 come playoff time. And I could tell you with great certainty, Brandon Tanev beside Nick Ehlers is not fucking it.
That is not it. What are we doing? Why are we at that point? Yes, sell off Ehlers, sell off Pionk. Like, what are we doing at this point? We start cashing in. Let's retool. What the fuck are we doing? Brandon Tanev top 6. Go the fuck out.
I see former coworker James Nellis in the chat ask, took the day off or you're firing off subs? I am not dual working it today. I actually go back to work Monday from my cancer disability time off, so this kind of all worked out pretty well. Though this is always a day that I'll take off to do something like this. It's too exciting around the league. But don't worry, I'm not playing hooky on work today. Too dangerous to go public with something like that. Come on now. I'm an idiot, but not that dumb.
So Mike McIntyre says, we'll see what the next 2 hours bring, but I don't believe the NHL Jets are done adding after Luke Shen and Brandon Tanev.
I hope not.
So
I want something to come where we could turn this vibes around and we're excited about this team truly. Because right now it doesn't feel like it. I run the peg over, jumps into the chat in Twitch saying, dude, these trades feel awful for the Jets, waste of assets in the sellers market. Big Papa says that Sawyer threw out the idea of Ehlers 17 Tanev. So we get Lowry and Ehlers back, but Tanev is not the answer for trying to boost that line.
No, not at all. Why are we even talking about that? What are we doing?
Kevin, I got some questions. To go on a national broadcast and even suggest that is terrifying. Terrifying. Okay, I got to sneak to the washroom real quick. You entertain the audience here.
Right on. Right on, Curtis Weave over on YouTube. Inflation is everywhere. We have a first place club overall at the trade deadline. No excuses. And I completely agree, Curtis. There are no excuses not for a big ad here. I run the peg over on Twitch. Also, what's up, man? First time to see you live during a work day, so I can put you on while I'm working. Nick will be real happy to have you join us here, so thanks for coming in. I run the peg. Big Papa over on Twitch. You know how hard Sawyer is with the thought of Shed with Stanley. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm sure he's just absolutely salivating at that pairing, which I don't know. I'm not with Nick on this one. I think we're going to be seeing that Stanley Shen as the third pairing. Gilbert Marion on YouTube. I want a hockey trade. Appleton needs to make room. Man, I'm hoping Mike McIntyre is right and the Jets aren't done and there's a hockey trade out there waiting for us.
Yeah, jumping back in. Sorry if I'm repeating anything. I tend to agree that with Curtis, inflation is everywhere. We have a first place club overall at the trade deadline. No excuses. Jason Honk, I might have to go find a piss jug to get through this afternoon. I got a bit of a baby bladder and the water does not do well for me. Never mind these little whatever else I'm drinking here. Ozzy Fromm, nice to see you in the chat. Fromm Financial, want to thank Ozzy. That's the man behind the plan here. Make sure to check out what they're doing over on social media and learning some education on finance. Ozzy asks, Tanev or Appleton, who do you pick? Personally, I would have picked between those two. I'm taking Appleton, which is kind of telling.
Yep. Ready for another call?
Yeah, let's go to the phone lines.
Hey, call. Oh, but I guess they hung up. Caller, try calling right back in. We're ready for you.
Caleb asks, Nick, was that a cute blanket you have yourself wrapped up in? And yeah, got the Hockey Canada blanket here, keeping myself warm. Keeping myself warm with the Hockey Canada representing right now.
It's one of those trauma blankets because we're in a little bit of trauma right now.
We are. I run the peg. Also, what's up, man? First time to see you live during a workday, so I could put you on while I'm working. Hey, we're just here talking some shop, hoping Kevin Shovel Day Off does something that excites us. We'll see where this goes. It's nice to see you jump in. Nice to see all the people in the chat today. As we go through this day, we got an hour and a half left before the deadline.
Yep.
Some things sneak through. I see there was some concern with me leaving the screen. Jordan Voss says, "Do we know where Nick is right now?" And Turd is worried about me owning a handgun and to keep eyes on me. Don't worry. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Cody Magnuson sums this up. Actually, I like this. When do we get to hang the kept all the prospects through the deadline again instead of trying to win banner? It's the only one that they'd be scheduled to win.
We'll make that up for you.
We got an hour and a half, man. Miko to the Stars. Brock Nelson to the Avs. Vegas and LA lurking.
Yep.
And Brandon Tanev and Luke Shen in Winnipeg.
I'm with Chris B over on YouTube. The Chevy presser in a couple hours is going to be a tough watch. Going to be real hard to hear him go, we did our best. And we're real excited about our young players who are never going to get to play.
It's going to be a really bad PR move to the market when he brings up it's not fantasy hockey again and he just couldn't afford the assets. In the situation the Jets are in, if Chevy goes down the Chevy speak and brings out a quote like we saw 2 years ago, have fun, PR team, trying to spin that one. Have fun.
Cue up the confused Pikachu face when they're not selling out games and people are annoyed.
So actually, now with the Rantanen news, let's take the focus a little bit as we wait here. So obviously it was a big conversation. The Hurricanes trading Nekis plus for Rantanen and then reflipping him. With Logan Stankoven and 2 firsts, hard to be pissed off at Carolina seeing what they were able to parlay that into. What about you?
Yeah, no doubt. When you kind of break it down, the big picture overall, they kind of come out ahead of this, don't they?
I'm curious to see what they do with those picks now.
Yeah,
as a team that's trying to compete,
like that's
really
huge
interesting
capital.
scenario for them.
Yep. And like they've had some that'll be I'm real curious to see what they end up flipping those for, because you would assume that that's going to be part of their window currently, right?
Yeah, and Logan Stankoven is such a Carolina player. Does a lot of good things well, just can't finish for shit. So Carolina still needs to find some shooting, I think, but
Yeah.
Interesting. So basically, yeah, Cody sums it up. Necas, Drury, a second and a fourth became Stankoven and 2 times firsts. I mean, I feel like at a glance, that's not bad.
Yeah, if I'm Carolina, I'm happy with that. I feel like they came out ahead. We talked about San Jose's asset management. I feel like this was some pretty good asset management as well.
Bobo says it is a bummer to see Jets fans so bummed and the team doing so well at the moment. Oh, this sucks. Like, obviously, It's been such a fun year, but when you start looking forward, Jets fans should be really aware of what this team's core looks like and why it needs a boost come playoff time. I broke down some of the numbers of the top 6 versus playoff teams this year. You look at the D-core past Sandberg and Sandberg and Morrissey, and there's a lot of question marks. Like, as good as this run's been in the regular season, this team is itching for a real piece to help push them over in the playoffs, and that's where this gets tough. Is looking ahead to what this kind of deadline so far means.
And they deserved that piece. That's the other part that I'm real frustrated on, is this, if they don't end up making any other big moves. Say this is, they just add maybe another depth piece or whatever, and then they're going to come out and tell you that, oh, we really like our prospects and we believe in them, and we really, we're high on these guys and all this stuff. At the same time, that's telling the guys that are on the ice for you now that we didn't want to go out and get you more help. We like the idea of these guys in a few years more than the potential of you right now. And I don't think that ever gets, like, that contrast is never brought up. It's always just the positive. Oh, but, they're just real big on their prospects, so that's why they couldn't do it. They just really believe in their guys. They value their guys. But then you're saying you don't value the guys on the ice as much to go out and get them that help. And it's frustrating that they're going to get to skate with that again.
Danica says, I woke up at 7:30 for this. I feel, I went to bed pretty late waiting on that Rantanen deal, and then woke up to get excited about this. We'll see where it goes. Terry Ferguson says, who's excited to hear Kevin Sawyer try and sell this as a huge win during the broadcast?
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, the broadcast without another ad will be miserable to listen to tonight. That's for sure.
The presser and the broadcast are both going to be rough. We'll get to hear how Stanley's incrementally been better every game, and now he's got a mentor in Luke Schenn who can really teach him on that third pairing, and that's going to unlock. I guarantee you're going to hear it tonight. I guarantee it.
Yeah, that's exactly the narrative. Luke Schenn's going to bring out the best in incrementally better Logan Stanley. I mean, and as often as we hear Sawyer talk up Logan Stanley getting better, and apparently he's the only one in Winnipeg still seeing this, the increments he's measuring with have to be the smallest increments of measurement I've ever seen someone use, with how often that quote's come out this year and very little difference in the player.
Yep.
I'd like to know what the Sawyer scale is on measurements.
Look, he didn't tell us what the increment is, so as long as it's something, it counts.
Oh yeah, it's minuscule, all right.
Ridiculous.
We'll see what happens. It's not done yet. Game's not over yet.
Not over yet. Still hope. Still hope. Also, man, I'm going to feel real bad for Ville Heinola if he's still stuck on this fucking depth chart after today.
100%. Third says, I think Huss is arguing Schenn next to JMO and DeMello next to Stanley, and I could see the Jets going that route. Tony had said that over on Twitch earlier. I could see the Jets trying that out. And good luck, Dylan DeMello. Sorry, bud.
Man, I wish I saw it that way. I truly wish I saw it that way. I don't. I think they're leaving Morrissey and DeMello together as the pair because that's what works. That's their pairing. That's the one they've wanted from Jump Street. And Schenn's going to come in to help, quote unquote, stabilize and settle down and Logan Stanley on that third pairing. I think it's a better idea to give DeMello to Stanley and give an actual puck mover to Schenn. I'm with you guys. I think that is the better, smarter move. I just don't know if the Jets are going to see it that way, and I'm willing to bet that when Shen plays, it's going to be on that third pair with Logan.
Yeah. Julian says, like I said, this organization is truly trying to ruin Heinola. If they do not trade him, they've killed his value. 100% accurate. Get him a new home.
Crispy, Morrissey deserves better. I agree, man. I agree.
Hey, let's get the hopium back. Ken Weeb, bringing the boys back. Here we go. Let's believe in Kenny Weeb right now. With that in mind, if the NHL Jets are going to make a move, I wonder if they still pursue a 2C or they still look to add someone on the third pair. Mario Ferraro of the Sharks still makes sense as a 3LD. 2C is tougher to pinpoint. Wondering about Jared McCann. Time will tell. Hey, they go and get Jared McCann and Mario Ferraro. I think this is a very interesting deadline, all things considered.
Yep.
My tune changes completely about how we're looking at these players right now and how we're looking at this team going in the playoffs. If you landed Jared McCann, I'm excited, and I think the depth looks different. If you're at Ferraro, who I think could do well in Winnipeg, especially with a third pair of DeMello or Shen, I think the situation looks a little bit different for Ferraro now. But if it's just Mario Ferraro, I wonder if you can get McCann and Ferraro. Hey, I'm excited, actually.
Yeah, McCann changes the outlook on the day entirely. I'm still worried though now that if Seattle's going to be wanting to still make a move of that size when they've made two already. But if they can go out and get a Jared McCann, we've got a very different outlook on today's deadline, because he does add a lot of what they need, and like we talked about, gives you some Ehlers insurance as well for the summer. So that's the type of big move that can still really turn today around, man. We need that. We need something like that. I'm still liking the Buffalo angle. I'm really hoping something pans out there. Wouldn't mind seeing Alex Tuch in a Winnipeg Jets jersey. But yeah, be super happy if we get Jared McCann. That'd be great.
And I think Tony continues to nail this. He says they tried to move DeMello off that pair every year. Smith got a chance. Pionk's gotten a chance. I could see them going Shen, Morrissey, and DeMello with the third pair. I see over on YouTube, Bobo says, I can't stand when Jets fans who say it's over and try and beat any disappointment and be the smartest guys in the room. If you're wrong and they do well, you're pleasantly surprised. No heat. See, the problem I have with Bobo and this comment is he tried to take this pathway last year with the Monahan thing. And where did that lead you? So it's not about trying to be smarter than everybody else. It's giving an honest opinion and not just throwing our pom-poms up and pretending that, oh, don't worry, this is the best version of the team, guys. This is it. Like, if you want to do that, go ahead. You're not going to get that from me. And you end up falling into the exact same narrative that you hate just from the other end, where it's like, oh, I was positive and now I'm disappointed. But the team was right. Like, you can't have it both ways when looking at this. And the reality is, the Stanley Cup playoffs are an entirely different animal. Entirely different animal. If you have not learned that over this last half decade and you want me to sell you shit as gold, you're at the wrong place. I'm just being real here. Like, that's what this situation is at this moment. It can change with an ad. We're still talking about the idea the deadline is not done. But if they're done at Shen and Tanev, I'm not going to sell you that they're going to win a Stanley Cup. I just can't.
Yeah, it's about wanting to see them succeed. It's about wanting to see them do better. And when they have such an impressive group, you want to see them add to that, because that's generally how that works in the NHL. You know, it's not that this is some new thing we've just made up and gone, this is what they've got to do. This is the conventional thing that you do to try to win a cup. These are the steps that every other team attempts to do to try to win that cup. If the Jets' way of doing it, not making a big splash at the deadline, being real conservative on their own prospects, those type of things, if that was the model that worked 100% of the time, we'd see, longer runs in the playoff. We'd see some Western Conference final banners or championship banners up there. We'd see a Stanley Cup banner up there. The unfortunate thing is we don't have those because it hasn't worked yet. So when we've gotten to this point again, where we're in a position where they look really good, yeah, it's time to go in and make that big move, because if you don't, we've seen what happens. We watched it just in the last playoff run. We saw what this group, essentially constructed as is, can do in the playoffs against the elite of the league, and unfortunately it wasn't enough. So we need that big piece to go over. So yeah, it's not that, it's over, quote unquote, today if there is no big ad. Nobody knows the future. Like, there's no way to tell you that, 100% they are done. But if you look at what the trends are, if you look at how things have gone, it's a lot easier to say, I don't think they did enough to put them over than they did.
I will say, if it ends here and you do want to be internally optimistic of where this goes in the playoffs, my DMs are open and the Bank of Nik will be available to take advantage of if you would like to bet on that outcome. Braden Ross says, if we get McCann, where would you want to see him in this lineup? That's an interesting one. I think he would have to force Arneal, hopefully, to adjust how he looks at that middle six, because McCann is naturally a winger that's played a little bit of center. Do you feel comfortable about just throwing him between Perfetti and Ehlers and seeing what happens? I mean, you could take a look at that. I just keep coming back to the idea of splitting up Lowry and Nino, having Lowry with Ehlers and McCann, and having Nino with Perfetti with like a Vlad between them, and having a fourth line of like Appleton, Iafallo, Kupari, or Gus kind of thing is where I would think about that. Oh, I guess there's Tanev to worry about now too. Shit, I already forgot about him.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. I'd want to know from McCann how comfortable he is moving back to center, because if it's not very, then I don't even want to attempt it during a deep run like this where they're trying to really put something together. It wouldn't be the time for experimenting, right? Now, if it's something where he goes, oh no, like I've been wanting to play center, I wanted to play it in Seattle, I can do it. Like if he's set on it, I'd give it a shot, but I'd really want to find out his comfort level first. And if not, then yeah, you're gonna have to get real creative with the winger situation in the middle six. I would probably like to see him up with if you can get like Lowry, McCann, and Ehlers on one line. On a second line would be nice, but I don't think that's what Arneal wants to do. So.
Sean says last playoffs they did what you guys wanted and it was a total flop in Capitals. Go back to last year. All of our episodes are documented, and go see where I stood on the Jets trade deadline of Sean Monahan. That's bullshit. That's not what I wanted to see happen. I was against it beforehand. I said the pace was a problem, and guess what? It lived up to that. But the idea that not adding now because you added last year and you flopped is going to actually push this thing through is so naive into the realities of the NHL outside of Winnipeg. So naive.
Yeah, you had this group already. We've seen it attempted. It's not crazy to say they need more help. It's pretty evident that they need that little bit extra to get over, especially when the team that walked them last year just improved themselves, right? Like they just went and added a really big piece that you now have to go up against. It's an arms race. That's what it is. When you're in the top of the league, when you're one of these elite teams now, right? Or at least you want to be, you have to be prepared to compete in that arms race. We're not a wild card team just trying to sneak in, adding some depth to, maybe see some magic. If you want to be one of those top elite teams who make those big ads, right? Colorado, Dallas, like they're doing, like Tampa Bay is doing, then you've got to be prepared to do that. Yeah, you're not a wild card team anymore. You're one of the big boys. You got to play with the big boys.
To Sean's point, it seems like me and Sean would agree with a lot more than we expect, actually, based on the first comment. Sean says, I would rather they stood pat than add Tanev at the cost of a second. And trust me, me and you completely see that the same way.
Totally agree.
We just paid a second round pick for a guy that skates around and you wouldn't notice if he didn't have a stick in his hand. So I'm with you, Sean.
Yep.
I'm with you, Sean.
Yeah, spending 2 seconds to upgrade your fourth line and potentially your third pairing is bananas to me. I would have rather they not done that, but and spent those assets somewhere else. But yeah, it is what it is.
If it's all about the vibes, it's time for Matt Hendricks to load up the old pickup truck and see if he's got one last twirl in him.
How is he not their player development consultant, or you know what I mean by now? Just have him around all the time so no one's sad.
See, I don't necessarily agree with this. What Big Papa says, Tampa has shown you don't need first round picks in a decade. Look how competitive they are. Tampa's core is more of an elite core than Winnipeg's. They're also approaching the tail end of it, where you're trying to get more cups before that thing all falls apart. And they have a lot easier time keeping and attracting talent than the Winnipeg Jets. I don't think Tampa's a fair comparison at all.
Yeah, they've got the high end talent at more positions than the Jets do, unfortunately. Which is why you're able to then start moving off those first round picks for that stretch and for those deep runs. And like you said, they're just trying to maximize that last little bit before the wheels eventually fall off, because it happens to every group, right? So, but yeah, they've done a masterclass of staying consistently good with that very elite core.
Yeah, Breezeball has had no problem investing. I liked his quote. He's like, hey, we could use those picks and invest in a player we hope becomes a contributor down the line, or we could turn them into 2 top 6, top 9 players right now to try and win. And that's what we're talking about, big picture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See if we've got any updates from our guys out there.
It doesn't seem like much. Doesn't seem like much. Oh, there's someone to mention. I think Noah Laforte had mentioned that it looks like Besser to Carolina potentially coming down the pike now that Rantanen has moved.
Oh, okay.
And we know they were looking for a first, so I'm assuming they parlay one of those picks from Dallas into Brock Besser.
Yep, that would make sense.
So something to watch for.
Besser is at morning skate. So they haven't pulled him off the ice yet, so we'll see.
And the talk is that if Vancouver trades Besser for a first, they're going to reflip that first for a forward rather than keep it.
Very interesting.
Yeah, they want to chase that 8th seed and get that 2-game playoff revenue before the Jets spank them if they can hold off Dallas.
I mean, I think it's dumb for them to do it, but it's great if, they do sneak in so that we can play them. That sounds good.
I see Ross Kilberry jumps back in the chat saying, who are the Jets rumored to be talking to? Is anyone even talking about a deal Jets might involve? The best thing we got right now is from Kenny Weeb suggesting that maybe they pursue Mario Ferraro and potentially Jared McCann. And that would change this outlook.
Yes.
That would change this outlook for me. But we need to see something like that.
We got time still. We're not there yet, so really hoping there is a last gasp surprise move from Chevy. I'm hoping that he's got that still up his sleeve because, yeah, man, I'm nervous. I'm real nervous.
I believe that. See, I feel like they'll still add like a middle 6 player kind of thing at least if they can't get a 2C. And likely have a forward like Gus move out. I'm having a real hard time talking myself into the idea that the Jets see the decor the same way we do. And I do wonder if they feel very content with the 6th now.
Yep, I think they do.
Well, we shall see. It's going to be a problem. Gonna be a problem. Anything else going around the league?
Gotten real quiet so far in the last little bit.
Crunch time. And what does Carolina do now? I guess we were just talking Besser. The one that's scaring me right now, and is Vegas is still sitting out there.
Take a look at the board here.
Julian tends to agree, says the Jets playing Stanley proves that 100%, Nick, though Gilbert Marion says a Ferraro move would at least dump Stanley, and that's where a Ferraro move would be exciting. That is a spot where the Jets can still get sizable upgrade from based on the current preferred player.
He's only 6 feet. He's not that big a guy.
Hey, if he's playing beside a Luke Shen, maybe. Bullsy says, man, we're sitting here trying to find silver linings. All our hopes dashed at this moment. Yeah, it's the vibes aren't as great as we would have liked here. The vibes are not as great as we would have liked here right now. But there is still an hour, 15 minutes.
Yep. And, the bigger hockey trades take a little longer to work out, so that's the longer it goes, the better the deal, right? That's what I'm telling myself.
I think there's at least going to be one more trade. We'll see if we like the size of it.
Dante Violet over on YouTube. By God, King, it's Jack Roslovic's music.
We're reuniting all the Jets, eh?
Hey, I'd be for it. My Jack Roslovic, future Hall of Famer Jack Roslovic. That was my that was my tag on him all the time. That's my guy.
Yeah, might as well just bring all the boys back. Julian says, for all we know with Vegas, they're probably going to poach Barzell similar to Hurdle last year. Yeah, this whole Vegas thing is lurking in the West.
Yeah, that's a little
I wonder if
nerve-wracking.
LA's done at Kuzmenko. There was a lot of talk of them potentially moving Clark for something bigger.
Yep.
Yeah, safe to say Tanev and Shen can't be it. Oh, there we go. I forgot. After Tanev, I forgot all about Yoel. Imagine the next piece is Yoel.
Of course it is. It probably will
Rothman.
be. Yeah.
I don't think they'll go both, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong.
Well, they need a middle six, so there you go. He's a top six guy, right? Who floated that out?
Drager did try.
Yeah.
Drager did try to sell that he could play in the top six. Yeah. Hey, if we're watching TSN, then Tanev could play in the top six with Nick Ehlers too. So
That's right. There you go. Our second line is going to be Nemestikov, Armia, and Tanev. Here's your second line.
Yeah, we shall see. Bill Young says, TSN, Shen is a huge pickup for the Jets, a win for the Jets. Trade Center didn't get their meds today. I think I think he's a usable piece, but they still need more on the back end.
Yeah.
And at that cost, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, the cost to acquire was way too high for, again, somebody I think is at best stabilizing your third pair.
And the whole playing to pace thing, Luke Shen's not that guy anymore.
Yeah.
I Run the Peg says, is Stasny ready to lace him up again? Cody says, Mikey, you're making him want to take a toaster bath.
Oh man, mine's calling me too. This is getting close to the wire.
Bill, I could not agree more. Second and fourth is awful.
Awful.
And a second for Tanev's even worse, man. That's your 12th forward. Jason Honk says, acquiring Shen reminds me of trading for Jordy Ben. Even their names rhyme.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Jordy Ben 2.0.
Julian says it's a 2018 reunion. Bullsy says we still have 3 first-round picks and $6 million cap space. There is still room for a move here.
We can do this. Come on, Chevy. There's got to be something out there.
Chris B brings back another Chevy quote. Our big ad is that everyone will play 10% better come playoffs. Curtis Weep says 2 negative later, guys. Thanks for stopping in, Curtis. Hopefully we're able to bring some positive with a real impact ad in the next hour and a bit here. Bill Young also says totally unrelated beer is now $20 at games.
Excellent.
And I honestly think the business side of this is very interesting, more than just past the can they go on a deep run, can they make an impact ad. Like, I really do think they need an ad for the business of the Winnipeg Jets that is going to get people excited.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to put butts in seats, you want to sell jerseys, you want to sell booze, like you have such a great opportunity, not only for the hockey portion of it, but like for the off ice stuff too, like to re-energize a fan base that, like we said, they've got a first place team, but you're still not selling out every night. So there is still something missing, right? This is an opportunity for you to start doing that. And I hope they don't let it pass them by.
J_Raha. Thanks for tuning in. Just tuned in. How about Peterka? Hey, if the one team I've kind of gotten myself a fantasy excitement for is the idea of taking advantage of Buffalo doing something silly here. And if the Winnipeg Jets were able to get JJ Peterka, who's a 23-year-old RFA, only $850K on the cap this year before a nice RFA raise coming in next year, that's the type of ad that would have me over the moon. A guy that doesn't have trade protection, a guy that's really blossoming into a game-breaking forward that can score, that brings some edge. That type of move would excite me. I know he's a winger, but that type of move would actually really get me feeling some type of way on this stream.
Yeah, that's the type of thing that would really motivate people again and change the outlook of today. Just hope that hockey trade is there. What do you think it would still? What kind of cost to acquire on JJ Peterka? Would you guess?
I think your boy's going.
Yeah, it's got to be Fets.
I think so.
Yeah. Damn, that hurts.
Peterka, interesting stat. Peterka, arbitrary endpoints, so obviously it's a weird one.
Yep.
Over the last 45 days, only trails David Pastrnak at points at 5-on-5.
Yeah, pretty good. That's good company to be in.
Big Papa says paying seconds and not even getting retention is crazy, and that's kind of what I was hoping for. Like to not get retention on Tanev at $3.5 million and still pay a second feels
insane.
Yeah.
Cody Magnuson over on YouTube. Let's go back to being blissfully delusional. Does the Rantanen deal mean we could get EP40 for 2 firsts and Perfetti?
Matt, I do wonder if that could get done. If we're entering a state of delusion, and
which we
looking at the impact of looking at the impact, you do gotta wonder what Vancouver does there, and if something like that makes them blink, and you all of a sudden have the highest upside swing that will ever be available to the Winnipeg Jets. I would give Chevy a lot of props for taking that swing. I honestly would.
Yeah, and as the treasurer of the Cole Perfetti fan club, I'm still making that deal every day. That would be, I feel like that gives the Jets a real nice upgrade there. So, yeah, if that's the price for Rantanen, you could, why not float out Perfetti and 2 firsts? Let's go grab EP40.
Marty Thome says, not sure if I dig Braden Shen's WAR percentage of 32%, or do you think St. Louis is the problem? I just think he's an aging 3C at this point. Like, he's an older guy. He's had a very productive career, but he's not worth the $6.5 million over the rest of his contract for what he currently is. And it doesn't sound like he'd waive, so we're going to avoid that one.
Luckily.
So we shall see. Can Chevy surprise us? B-Dub 1000. That's exactly the line, too.
Yep.
That would get me excited about JJ Peterka. Lowry, Peterka, Ehlers would do things for me. And that's the thing. Like, that's why I was so frustrated with them not trying Lowry, Ehlers more, is if this market dried up, there's a very real chance you need Adam Lowry playing with more talent in the second line to try and make this work. And they've just shown no interest in splitting up the Lowry, Appleton, Nino group as a third.
Nope, they have that locked in, which is real frustrating. So even if they did add Peterka, he's probably playing with Nemestikov and Ehlers.
Hootman says the closer we get to the trade deadline, the more desperate the hope gets. Yeah. Those are the feels right now. I'm struggling right now. If anyone wants to bring some hopium to the chat, or if there's any tidbits out there, I'll take them and run with them. I'll sell them right now. I'll sell my soul.
They can be the most tenuous rumors, whatever you've got, please, somebody, because I need to see something that says the Jets are doing something.
Go Path nails it. It's the hope that kills you. It's the hope that kills it.
Oh, God.
We have 66 minutes left.
Well, here's some more terrible just stats and things that are true. From Mike McIntyre over on Twitter. Dallas 6 points behind Winnipeg, 1 game in hand, 2 head-to-head meetings left. Going to be a fight to the finish. Finishing first likely means Vancouver, Calgary, or Utah. Flipping out of first just might mean playing Colorado again. Cue the Jaws music. Dun-dun, dun-dun.
Yeah, quite the stretch we got here coming up.
Big Papa, you took the words right out of my mouth, my guy. Scott Arniel coaches like a guy who's been locked out of a locker room before, and Chevy GM's like a guy who's got a job for life. You don't have to take the big swings when you know you've got job security.
Ross Kilberry says, all out of hopium, and I'm getting to uncap my bottle of copium, and yeah. I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Kotz-Chorik, I'm so sorry, I'm so bad with names. If they pick up a top 6 winger with shifting Velarde to 2C work, and this is an area, and this is why I wouldn't have minded some changes in the lineup while things were going well, or when there was little speed bumps, is to find out, right? The one thing I do wonder with Gabe Velarde, with his injury history and his pace, he's become such a strong right winger that do I want to mess with that in the middle of the season? with how much he's taken off. And I do believe Adam Lowry is good enough if you surround him with talent to fill that 2C role in a strong way, which would leave you with like a Nino Vlad-led third line, which I'm intrigued by. It's just right now, the way they're set up, the first line doesn't score. Like, it's a mid-pack first line when you're talking about scoring rates. The third line is – so the Jets are looking at this team as the Lowry line and the Scheifele line are stable.
Yep.
And that really limits them and their ability to produce offense as the season gets deeper, as games get tougher. That I hope maybe not landing a 2C makes them look at different things, but
I think
that's where I get hung up on the roster usage. Is I think the coach can get more out of this, where we could be having different combos around what this team needs at the deadline if you're willing to step outside and get a little creative and get out of the sandbox.
The unfortunate thing is we've seen them not be willing to be creative this year. It's just not in the cards. They have their very strict lineup that they want to adhere to. We've seen a handful of times, a quote-unquote blender come out, but then Scott Arniel told us afterwards that it's not about switching up the lines. He just wanted to get some extra ice time to a couple extra guys here and there. They're not willing to move off of what they've decided is their best grouping. The only thing that would have changed that would have been a big, veteran add to the team where they kind of have to fit him in a different spot. But even then, I still feel like that would be more just, plug and play. They would have popped him into whatever spot that position is and left the rest of it kind of the same. That's their MO. They want the consistency. So could Velarde play 2C? It's possible. He's got some of those tools and things, but I don't see this current coaching staff even considering that going forward.
We'll see what happens. Jordan Vaught says time to get desperate and get the other Shen brother. Sounds like that's been poo-pooed already by the insiders.
Boo this man.
Bill Young says, and this is something I wanted to see more of. We've only seen 2 games or 3 games of it in the NHL. And I do think Cole Perfetti's strengths parlay better to a pivot man in this game than wing. The lack of speed, I think, hurts him more on the wing than up the middle.
Yep.
I think his ability to understand the game IQ-wise helps him up the middle more than it does on the wing. And Bill Young says maybe Perfetti is ready for second-line center and we missed the memo. And that's something I would have liked to at least get a stretch of going into this deadline, to at least see what you could kind of do, because now you're kind of leaving it with 20 games to go in the stretch run while you're trying to ramp up. And that's a big, big question.
Yeah, they decided in the summer that he was going to play wing and not center. And again, I don't see them going forward changing that. There's nothing that we've seen up to this point that suggests that they're willing to start making these type of like very different kind of creative moves to tweak the lineup. That's just not what's in the cards. If past actions are any indicator of future actions, I think that's a 0% chance we see Fetz move to center for the Winnipeg Jets, even though, again, I agree. I would have liked to have seen that tried out, because I think he, like you mentioned, the hockey IQ just absolutely suits him to that center role. And I guess it was just maybe a size thing. I don't really know what made them kind of decide, okay, no, he's going to be strictly a winger. We're going to have Vlad play that center role. But yeah, I don't see a lot of creative changes coming for this group for the rest of the season.
Sean Reynolds, let's go. Here we go. Let's get back on the hopium train. Noah Lafort says Sean Reynolds on Sportsnet trade deadline show says he wonders if they trade AI and Perfetti in a trade for a 2C or better forward. And this tracks with the idea we heard Alex Iafallo out there. I was kind of saying the idea would be, if Alex Iafallo is in a deal, it's going to be a big deal that we're excited about. This is an interesting one.
Interesting.
And that's the type of package you're going to have to do to swing big. Hey, Perfetti and Iafallo, Buffalo's the spot. Buffalo's the spot.
That is. We've talked about it. That's the place where you can really still make a big impact with this group. And if it's Perfetti and Iafallo that are being rumored to be on the table, that's a hockey trade. That's not just some rental that we're snatching. This could totally change the outlook of the deadline and the day. Poor Curtis, he should have stuck around. How not too negative, see?
Hey, if you give us a crumb, I can get excited about a crumb.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's map something out here. Cole Perfetti. 25 first, late pick. If they're going to finish at the top of the division, even if they lose in the first 2 rounds, I'm pretty sure that would be 26 at the worst.
Yep.
Cole Perfetti, a first. This year's first. I don't want to move next year's.
Yeah, this year.
In this scenario, if you have to, you have to. Alex Iafallo, is that the type of package that can get you into a Peterka Ryan McLeod combo? Or what do they have on D that they can move? I don't know. Just throwing shit out here at this point.
Still interested in Owen Power?
Yeah, I would be. And Mooch Winnipeg says, too, it tracks with what Buffalo wants. They don't want picks prospects. They want to make hockey trades by all accounts.
Yep.
If you could walk into Ryan McLeod or Peterka, like I said, I could get excited.
Oh.
Byram, we've seen some local media connect the Jets to Byram in years past.
Yeah, that's true. RFA, that would be an interesting one as well. Man,
I will say with Bowen Byram,
yep,
the concussions do seem to have really slowed down that early career success. And in Buffalo, now Buffalo is not a great spot, but in Buffalo, the only person he's had any success playing next to is Rasmus Dahlin, who I think should be in the Norris votes this year.
Yeah, Rasmus is just incredible.
Colorado just made another move. Charlie Coyle is now heading to the Colorado Avalanche as well.
Interesting. Yeah.
So Colorado's deepening out that forward group that was looking concerning going into this deadline, adding Charlie Coyle and Brock Nelson. I'm going to guess Middlestat's in that deal. And Charlie Coyle's going to come in as their 3C. So you're looking at McKinnon, Nelson, Coyle down the middle now. That's quite the different look down the middle of the Colorado Avalanche than it did 48 hours ago. And it looks like Noah Lafort says Middlestat is indeed going to the Bruins. That makes sense to me.
Yep, that makes sense.
Wyatt Johnson also in extension talks with Dallas after getting Rantanen done. Absolute monster day for the Central Division. I see a tweet on Twitter, Colorado loading up before the tariffs hit. The prices sure look like the trade deadline prices have been hit by those 25% tariffs. But hey, if that's the cost of doing business in North America, that's the cost of doing business.
That's what it goes, yeah.
Fat Tony really trying to bring down the vibes when that's the package for the other shit. And you suckers better be happy.
Thanks, Tony. Oh, God, everybody's trying to make us cry. Julian over on YouTube. McKinnon, Nelson, Coyle compared to Scheifele, Nemestikov, Lowry.
Yeah. If you get an upgrade on Nemestikov, I like us head-to-head there.
But you still have to get that upgrade is what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
Like, at the way it stands right now, that's...
Yeah.
Ugh.
Don't be Braden. Let's look at Peterka. Let's look at Peterka Plus. Come on. Yeah, Casey Millsap Plus makes sense as far as what they're trying to do. Unsurprisingly, Jesse Pollock's going to cry about this. Ryan Reeves cleared waivers. We will not be getting Ryan Reeves back in Winnipeg, thank God.
Oh, darn.
Someone's got to talk to him about just not posting dumb Jet stuff on Twitter because so many people follow him and it makes us all look stupid.
Then we all get in trouble for it. Like,
we were at, how are you dreaming about Ryan Reeves in 2025, man? Jesus Christ.
Some people have very specific tastes, I guess.
Here's a take from Dan Robertson. If the NHL wants to liven up trade deadline, move it to April 1st.
Okay.
When there's more teams out of it. A whole another 3 weeks. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Noel says Middlestat with Zellers or Will Zellers and a second for Coyle might be more. So they're getting a different look there.
Interesting, yeah.
Sill says, man, I'm getting nervous, boys, waiting for the late McCann call. Looking around the Central, he's doing something. And the Alex Iafallo bit continues to be interesting to me because that would be the name in this. I think Cole Perfetti's going to have to be in a big swing somewhere. Does Cole Perfetti and Alex Iafallo find your way to EP40?
Just I
With
mean,
picks, obviously.
with obviously still gonna need what 2 firsts.
I don't know. I don't know how Vancouver values that situation right now.
That's
That's like
true.
that's just one I don't have a good read on with the
Yep.
contract and the recent play. So the teams I'm hoping for: Vancouver, Garland, EP40,
Yep.
Seattle, Jared McCann, Jamie Lexak, Buffalo, Ryan McLeod, JJ Peterka. Those are the 3 hopium situations I'm staring at. And I'll say this: me and Sil were going back and forth a lot last night. This is the type of week I can't get off my phone and I can't sleep. I'm looking forward. If you don't see me on Twitter for a couple days, I'm doing well for my mental health. I'm hoping I can avoid that site for a bit. Me and Sil were having a conversation here yesterday where it's one of those ones where we're totally just fantasy booking this. But after the Nelson trade dropped and you saw the Cam Robinson EP40 deal, or that he's getting shopped again, we were kind of hammering back and forth on the idea of like, what happens if Jimmy Rutherford does want to make that move right now before the summer? Jimmy Rutherford's been that guy that when he's ready to do something, he'll do it.
Yep.
And what if Winnipeg and Vancouver needed each other in this situation, and it ends up like Perfetti, Iafallo, and a first or a first plus something or whatever, or in this range where it doesn't look like it's a crazy deal for Winnipeg. It's a bit of a risk because that one could go either way at this time, but that's the highest upside swing Kevin Cheveldayoff could ever swing.
Yep.
What if those two found each other out of desperation in the last hour here?
Possible. It'd be amazing. But I think you owe Big Papa an apology. They say, "Oh, I'm the bad guy for suggesting EP40 and Garland 2 days ago." I remember you did. You gave him shit for it. You did.
I don't think they'd pull both. I'm just saying,
No.
if I'm trading with Vancouver, I'm looking to pull one of those guys out of there. I don't think you're going to be able to get both out of that situation.
What do you think it would take to get just Garland out of Vancouver?
A first, Iafallo and Barlow or something. I don't know. This market's
A little crazy, right? Yeah.
We'll see.
If you can do it, a first Barlow and Iafallo or something like that.
We're back to fantasy booking EP40 in Winnipeg. Eh?
You betcha.
M3RP24 is going for the big fantasy in AI Perfetti Jaeger in a first for Crosby. He also says Vegas is up to something. Olofsson's not on the ice, so you'd expect Olofsson's contract to potentially move here.
Interesting. Yep.
Sil says, "Oh boy, Marchand time." Hey, Marchand's the type of name that would get me going.
I mean, now that LA's off the board probably for him since they grabbed Kuzmenko. And they've got to send him out to the West. God, there'd be so many conflicted Jets fans with Marchand in a Jets jersey.
You gotta love to cheer for that guy,
right?
Julian, I think Julian has a good point here, and someone else in this chat has been saying this for a couple of shows now. Francis is probably telling Chevy he won't let McCann go unless Perfetti's included, and given the prices right now, I could see that being a reality.
Yep.
You might have to do it, man.
Still asks, is there any chance Marchand would waive to come to Winnipeg for a cup run?
If I could ask Brad Marchand, I'd love to.
Yep.
He got 8-team no trade.
Yep.
He's probably filled it out pretty in a way where there's only going to be certain spots in the playoffs that fix this, knowing that Boston would only move him west. So when it comes to no trade clauses, I never know. The one thing is the Jets have absolutely spanked Boston this year. So maybe that left a lasting memory. That'd be a fun one. That would have me feeling excited. I just don't know how real that is.
Yeah.
Cody Magnuson throws out another interesting one if we want to get hopium. I'll toss out one more combo at you, Nick. I have no idea what the fuck Drury is doing. Keandre Miller and Vinny Trocheck from the New York Rangers. Seems like the Rangers are buying.
Yeah.
Oh, Miller's been out there. Some things to see.
Andre, RFA coming up, right? Pretty sure, yeah. Okay, RFA coming up for Condre Miller. That'd be an interesting gamble to take.
George, I don't know if my brother is just trolling me or what, but he says Avs are about to get Marchand over text.
Oh.
I don't know if that's just him guessing or not, but these are the conversations behind the curtain that my group chats look like. Not seeing
Haven't
anything on
seen
Marchand.
anything yet officially.
So we're in the last 15 minutes here, folks. What does Kevin Cheveldayoff have in store for us, if anything at all?
Does he have something up his sleeve? Come on, Chevy. Give us a gift. The Vegas fan
Jordan
base
was-
is pretty set. They want Marchand now that Olofsson's been pulled off the ice. Nothing confirmed,
yeah.
but they're looking. That's the rumblings on their in their groups.
Could see that. Could see them pivoting from Rantanen to
Marchand.
Uh-oh. Rannis consort Brian says SN panel talking about moving Perfetti for Braden Shen. Good God, get me out of this reality.
That can't.
Yeah,
that can't be true.
If the Perfetti and Iafallo package is moved for Braden Shen, this might be an all-timer.
Yeah, that's you want to hear negative. You haven't seen negative. If that ends up being the case, I'm gonna go scorched earth.
DB204 says there has to be a 2C coming, especially after the Central deals. He's got to make a swing here. Avoid Braden Shen, go to Seattle, go to Buffalo, and what was the other team? Vancouver. It's got to be someone out of there. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy.
What do we got?
Matt
left?
Rothman says nothing in this deadline will be a disaster. Hopefully reverse psychology goes through with that. Hari Shivana says, for all we know, Chevy is kicking his feet up and taking down a jumbo jet dog right now. With what's going on around him in the Central, I refuse to think that he could sit there and be like, yeah, I'm good. We fixed the chemistry's good.
Right? They can't be that nonchalant about it. God, I hope not.
Cody Magnuson says, if Perfetti becomes Braden, let me know who wants me to pick them up on the way to burning Lake of the Woods to the ground.
Right here, Cody. Come grab me, my guy. I'm hopping in with you.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. JJ Paterka, come to Winnipeg, please.
Come on down. Alex Tuck, you are a Winnipeg Jet. Let's go.
We're in that crunch time. 47 minutes, and the stomach is turning. Any other hopium in the chat? M3RP, I love where you're going. But it does sound like he is like the one untouchable in St. Louis. Wants to throw everything we have at St. Louis for Thomas. Hey, I might strip in excitement with that kind of move.
Yeah.
This might launch my OnlyFans career if they made that kind of move.
Landing strip after dark, baby. Premium.
Mrazek. yeah. The late night strip, eh?
Yeah.
Mrazek to Detroit. So he goes back home.
Going home. Good for him.
Nelly, to answer your question, a little bit, but not much. It gives me like a nice little head rush. Though if I go through all the ones I bought, I'll probably be feeling good. Got to bring down, got to keep myself in check here today, I think. Helps keep me in check. Depends on your tolerance, really. They do the strip for me. Mo Lester says, at this, God, I love YouTube names. At this point with the Central Division, we're going to need a big trade just for a shot at the President's Trophy. And that there is that aspect with playing Dallas 2 more times and them taking their shots. The first place in the division, in the conference, is going to be massive for this team, the way this deadline's shaping up so far.
Yep.
We'll see. It's not over. Chevy could have something to surprise us. He's done it before.
Yep.
Done it before.
It's out there. There's still options. That's the interesting thing, right? It's not that every player that would be a good fit is completely gone. There are still options out there. We just highlighted 3 teams where you can still put something together. So they just come on, Chevy, give me something, my guy.
the goat path, the landing strip after dark. We show off our landing strips. That's where we're at right now. I gotta say, it beats the part earlier, though. I gotta give him a shout. Gunnar Stahl on Twitter, fresh out of the Mighty Ducks movies. After the Nelson trade, he found a clip of a beetle and how much a beetle could lift. So that's where Jets Twitter had got itself for a little bit this morning, was really admiring the strength of beetles as we approach the deadline here.
God.
So
yeah, Sean Reynolds over on Twitter. Jets better win their division, with a very afraid face. After the addition now of also Charlie Coyle to the Avs.
Winning the division is like paramount at this point, as far as getting over the first round hump. Give me Vancouver, Calgary, whoever sneaks into that spot. If they fall one spot, if we get to 6 games this first round, I'll be happy.
Yep. The longer Bobo McBooboy, the longer this goes on, the better chance we have of making a better deal. In theory, I agree. The bigger the deal, it takes time. It's the longer everybody else falls off the board, right? So, yeah, I'm hoping
the art of the deal.
Yeah, the art of the deal. And the hockey trades are more complicated to work out because you're also trying to still look at the other pieces that are falling off the board, right? So, yeah, until it's over, I'm not going to throw up the white flag until it's over, but I am nervous, man.
Hess over on Twitch. Thanks for joining, Hess. Good to see you, buddy. Nick, let's get down to business here. We need a 2C or we're toast. And you're not wrong, buddy. You're not wrong. Let's see what this next 45 minutes brings, 43 minutes brings. Because looking at what's going on around the Winnipeg Jets and knowing Vegas is going to do something, it can't be Luke Schenn and Brandon Tanev. It cannot be.
No.
Just give me something to have a semblance of hope. You could sell hope. I could sell hope, man.
Yeah.
I could be your best hype man with hope.
You just need a crumb. Hook me up with a crumb.
Just a crumb. M3RP is going to join us and says I'd have to strip and I'd shit myself we got Thomas. Still goes back to my faves. Tuck would be a great last second pickup.
Yeah.
Ranis consort Brian also says the same. Alex Tuck would make a big difference in how I feel about this deadline. With that said, Stanley Schenn scares the F out of me, and rightfully so. I'm going to have some nightmares thinking about them playing together tonight. Though I do think the chat has kind of nailed it with the idea that we might see Schenn Morrissey, DeMello Stan, which still anything that has Stan on the third pair means that you weren't that serious about upgrading.
Yep.
Bobo's seeing it now. Bobo's seeing why I get so tensed up. He says, I'm nervous too. Looking at the Avs in Dallas now, they're legitimately scary. TSN is talking about us now with Button. Let us know if Craig Button drops anything. I imagine Craig Button's really hammering for Chevy to do something massive here to give this team a chance.
Yeah, he's been a big proponent of the Jets adding in, so I'm sure he's out there advocating.
Blackhawks are trading Peter Mrazek and Craig Smith to the Red Wings in exchange for Joe Veleno, sorry.
Yep.
I like this take from TJ Moen on Twitter that I follow. Big trades rarely pay off, but this year might prove otherwise with the size and the level of player we have seen moved into the division now.
Yeah.
Central's a fucking dogfight.
Central is it's scary, man, the way that they loaded up so quickly like this. And again, I was real smug about Colorado and their depth not that long ago, just laughing at them, going, these are the moves they're going to make? This is great. Fuck them. I can't wait to play them. And now, here we go.
Everyone's basically saying that Button is saying that the Jets better finish first place, and they're saying that the 2C might have sailed. Not good, brother.
Not good.
Sorry, Bobo. Sorry, that's a good clarification. I respect that. I respect that. Bobo says he wasn't talking about me, just fans who talk in 100% done type of ways. I respect that.
Totally.
Sorry,
fair.
Bobo. Sorry to throw you under the bus a little too much. I respect the clarification there. I don't have any issues with whether you guys do in the show in particular. I appreciate that. I like to think we're pretty fair. We cover both sides to the extremes at times, but I think we're pretty fair at times.
I'm extremely emotional. Cody, that's fine. That's the way that it goes. I live for overreaction theater. That's my shit. So yeah, and it's real. I'm stressed to fuck.
Cody Magnuson says the bingo card for Chevy's presser: fantasy hockey, no trade clauses, like our prospects. We're in first for a reason. We like the room. Sometimes it's the moves you don't make. Prices are really high. We checked in, and you might get a full bingo of all 6 of those or 7 of those across the board.
With the Powerball number being, we've kept our UFA, so that's kind of like our own rentals.
Dante Violet says Colorado has managed to trade for multiple centers this season, seemingly interested.
Yeah.
Ballsy with just heard Billy Hanela threw himself in front of a bus on Portage. Poor Billy, man. Poor Billy's gonna have his name etched in the. You know how you raise the banner for players? They're gonna have a banner for Billy in the press box when his Jets career is over.
They'll have a seat
The
named for him
Hanela
up
spot.
there. They'll have a little plaque on one of the chairs.
Still is saying the biggest loss out of this TDL will be realizing how much we could have traded Pionk for. And like that's the reverse side of this thing is like the Jets are in such a good spot that they didn't have to move their UFAs this year. And looking at this deadline and knowing what they could have moved him for compared to the idea that they still might sign him, oh boy. I'm gonna be listen, I'm not a religious person, but I might be searching for God if that's where this goes. If you're someone that has a church looking to open their arms to me, I might need you if that's where this goes.
We'll have to start our own religion here on the landing strip.
Looks
Cody
like Cody
Glass.
Glass is going to the New Jersey Devils.
Yep.
Hope for the best of Cody. Obviously, it just hasn't panned out for him
Yeah.
so far in his career. We'll see what happens. That's that's not the type of buy I was expecting out of New Jersey.
Yeah, that's an interesting one for Jersey to take. Why do you think they're going that route?
Cheap asset cost and Jack Hughes being gone and
I forgot
Hamilton
about the
being gone.
Hughes
I think
injury,
they're
yeah.
I think they're just trying to get themselves to the playoffs.
Makes sense, yep.
Ascended Science says the sky is falling. Not quite there yet.
Not yet. No, we still got another 38 minutes before the sky falls, so we're all right.
You know what, Fat Tony, you give us a little bit of a crumb. I'll take that crumb. What if Luke Shen lets the Jets play Hanela? Am I being positive enough? If they were willing to give Hanela a look beside Luke Shen, I'm more intrigued than Luke Shen and Logan Stanley. So, but we haven't seen we've seen Hanela play once in 2 months. They're ramping up for the playoffs. That's not happening.
No, unfortunately not.
Oh boy, we're gonna have to just clip together Luke Shen and Stanley minutes. Just to have an album to look back on one day. It's going to suck in the moment. It's going to feel awful in the moment to watch it. But there will be a day we can laugh at what that pairing does together. There will be a day.
That highlight reel is going to be a good time.
So, hey, if you're in the community on social media, make sure we're collecting all the Shen Stanley highlights together, baby, for our future self's sake.
Ascended Saiyan over on Twitch. Shen makes a slow team even slower. Tanev barely moves the needle. Division around us got better. Guy is falling.
When the Jets play up to their system, I wouldn't call them a slow team. I think when they are on their game, they do play the game with speed, but they definitely could use some impact there. Yep. Yeah, Tanev, the whole not moving the needle. Yeah, Big Papa with the shutout too. I'm his biggest fan. Can't wait till he's healthy when it comes to Hanela and Scott Arneal hyping him up in the media.
Yeah.
Fat Tony does raise the point that we watched Stu Harrison pair. We could get through this.
Oh, wow. Jay Harrison,
The thing
shout out.
The thing that's different with this one is that this isn't a team expecting to make a run. The Stu Harrison pair, were we expecting to make a run? I'm not so sure.
Oh, man. It was neat to see hockey-related Ron Hainsey on the ice during the Four Nations thing when they were handing out the trophy at the end. Speaking of defensemen from that era.
What's that? Sorry, I zoned out there.
Oh, Stu Harrison talking about defensemen from that era. It was nice to see hockey-related Ron Hainsey on the ice during the Four Nations handing out the trophy at the end.
Oh, yeah, I did see him out there. Okay, back to the Button stuff. Bobo says Button agrees with you guys here for your information. Same with the whole panel, giving the Avs a ton of credit for improving their team on paper, filling every need, paying what it costs to get who they want. Mo Lester says, I just ordered my Tanev jersey, all caps, a bunch of exclamation marks. There we go. Selling the jerseys earlier. Zazzer, my boy Zaz says Braden probably said the only way he'd come to the Jets is if they were able to pry his brother over. Now, Saravelli threw some hot water on that earlier, but I mean, I imagine there was a discussion. And turning Perfetti into Braden Shen at this point of his career will have me in quite the. I might just stare at this camera blankly. I don't know if I'll be able to talk to you guys.
I'll talk, and none of the words will be kind.
Let's see. Bobo says that now it's the time to finish this, and that's what we're hoping. That's what we're hoping, man.
Yep. We're in the home stretch.
As much as I don't feel great right now, I do hope for that.
There's still time. There's still hope. I've got to believe. Just have to. Jets fan 24. Do not want Shen. Didn't want any Shen. Doesn't care which first name is attached.
Okay, I got to sneak out for a second here.
Yeah, sounds good. Ascended saying, turning Perfetti into Braden Shen at this point in his career. Nick goes full dangle. Yep, that would be an absolute monumental blow up of a show. Kevin Koala go for on YouTube, waiting for Nick to just get that 1,000-yard stare live on the pod. Well, we've got about 33 minutes before the deadline hits, and that ends up happening. So stay tuned. You'll never know. You might get to see it. Jets fan 24 over on YouTube. ROR or nothing. And I do think it's interesting. We haven't heard a lot about Ryan O'Reilly today. Not a lot of rumors connecting him to the Jets or many of the other teams. So it's interesting that it's been quiet on ROR because I do think he's got enough left in the tank for the Jets especially. The goat path. Hear me out. Backlund or Larkin? That'll be an interesting one to see what Nick thinks about that.
What's that?
Welcome back.
Welcome back. What's going on? Thanks for having me.
So, why do you think we haven't heard much about Ryan O'Reilly today?
I don't think he's going to move.
Think that's not happening anymore?
We'll see, but it's one that Nashville didn't seem overly motivated to do. So, I mean, Trotz could owe us for playing with our tickling with our feelings back a couple of years ago. It would be nice if he wanted to give the city a little boost, but I don't know.
Can you imagine if Trotz had taken the job? If they had worked that all out and they gave him the keys?
I wonder what that would have looked like.
Yeah, it'd be a very different group, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true, actually. M3RP did say, apparently RRR was close to going for Josh Norris before the Norris-Cousins thing. That did come out, and something got held up at the end. So that is a good point there, actually.
So there's still a possibility maybe that he's available.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Rannis Consort Brian says RRR would be solid, but I don't know if he would even be enough to cancel out the negative of the Shen trade. See, I think the Shen trade's okay if you go get an impact player like that. Like, I think he'll still help this team do some of the things they were looking to do. I'd like if he doesn't end up beside Stan, because I think that'll just be not good.
Yep.
But I think if you get an impact ad, I'm not as down on the depth moves.
Yeah, the depth moves are like we've talked about. Are they an overpayment in terms of cost to acquire? Yeah, but that's what the deadline is. And as long as they're part of a bigger piece, a larger plan overall, then it's fine. That's great. You need depth, you need bodies, you need, NHL players. It can't be the only move. It just absolutely cannot be.
Kevin Kowalek's really cruel here, saying waiting for Nick to get that 1,000-yard stare live on pod. I don't want this to end up there at 2:00. And Julian says, gonna take one bong rip, 1 second for every missed opportunity.
I can do that. That's
Bill Young's interested in Shen and Hayden Fleury on the third pairing would be nice. I just view Hayden Fleury as a lot more similar to Logan Stanley than a lot of people. I think you need that piece with a real solid guy.
They're similar, but Fleury at least is less afraid of the puck. Stanley looks like that fucking thing's gonna blow up on his stick every time he gets near it. So yeah, they're comparable, but I'd probably still rather Fleury in than Stanley overall.
Oh man, Bard Down on Twitter just makes me wanna. Oh no.
Hit me.
They posted a tweet 9 minutes ago, Chevy.is.cooking, and it's a meme of the rest of the NHL watching the Jets load up at the trade deadline, and it's that Brandon Tanev stare, and I'm just like, this is not what loading up looks like. This is not the meme spot.
Oh boy.
This is not cooking. Like, delete it, please.
Oh God, guys.
Cody Glass was traded for a 3rd-round pick. Thanks, Noah. You're the man, Noah. Thanks for updating us here as we try to navigate this all.
And how mad is Colin Miller today? You know, he's also got to be pretty pissed with Billy looking at Shen come in going, well, there goes my spot of ever playing again.
Hey, as long as Logan's happy.
As long as Logan's happy. Well, he will be with his new mentor, Luke Shen.
Yeah. Dante says Nick is going to go full Bud Dwyer on camera in 40 minutes. Who's Bud Dwyer? I need the backstory here. Do you know who that is, Mikey?
That would be Robert Bud Dwyer. I have no idea.
Okay, we're going to need the backstory, Dante, of what my next hour of my life is apparently going to look like.
Oh, Jesus Christ. He was a treasurer convicted of corruption by taking a bribe. He killed himself at a press conference by shooting himself in the head. Thanks, guys. We're about to get banned off fucking Twitch and YouTube.
Oh, hey, beat cancer to only do that on YouTube for everyone to see. Jeez.
Jesus.
That is brutal. That is brutal.
Yeah.
No, don't worry. I'm not Bud Dwyering myself, guys. I can promise you won't have to look away on something like that. I'll just, we'll see. Chevy's got to do something more.
I'm dying.
Oh. Chevy is cooking in the picture of Brandon Tanev and saying the NHL is loading, or the Jets are loading up. What? Well, Colorado and Dallas do what they're doing. Oh, man. Legacy media is actually dying. I want to see it keep going. Like I like my friends in the media, but whoever's running Bar Down right now, it's just like, come on, guys. Fuck on.
And it's not ironic? Is it ironic? Maybe it's ironic.
If it's a joke, I'm laughing. But
yeah, if it's a joke, great joke. I love it. 10 out of 10.
Like, it's just shivving the dagger into me right now, staring at this pic on my screen.
If it's earnest, we got to have a conversation.
Man, this is not how I was hoping this day would go, man. Oh, this is not how I was hoping this day would go. I was hoping to be here in a jolly mood, excited with everybody. And now we're talking about me potentially going full dangle in 26 minutes. It's a funny joke if Bargel's joking.
Yeah, if they're joking, it's hilarious. I fucking love it. If it's not,
it's so funny. But if someone is actually trying to be serious to hype people up, I am. Please leave. Please just delete the account. Here we go, Chevy.
Post, yeah.
Jason Hogg, 26 more minutes to mediocrity. Yeah, molested. That was a bad framework of words because I was thinking like I was connecting Bar Down to TSN. I was struggling over my words there. Obviously, Bar Down's not legacy media. I was trying to wrap it in with the TSN comments, like thinking how we're getting Tanev talking about playing with the Oilers on TSN right now, and now we're getting a leg of them pumping up Brandon Tanev. It's a tough scene right now. My mistake on the wording. That was on me.
Ranis Consort Brian over on Twitch. The real trade deadline acquisition was the friends we made along the way.
And I'm glad we've had friends here supporting the show, coming here to chat, giving
Otherwise, I'd
us
just be
their
crying
takes.
into my into my coffee cup by myself.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been more enjoyable to get to talk to you all as we all suffer the same fate as things are going on here. Winnipeg JT Ross or TJ Ross on Twitter. Wait until you guys hear Chevy talk about their internal analytics. Tell them about 2C Vlad and Big Stan later.
Oh.
We're getting another analytics summer this summer to really digest how good those guys are, despite nobody else around the league covering this league seeing it. We're getting down bad. This time is not good.
Hoot man, Nick sinking lower and lower in the chair as the trade deadline looms. By 2 o'clock, you're just gonna see the brim of his hat.
I want to bounce up so bad. This is tough.
Don't worry.
Billy,
when they announce McCann, you're gonna see Nick just blow right through the roof.
Bill McCann, yeah, I might jump. It's so high we've never seen it. Bill Young, I wonder if this is what it felt like on the Titanic. Just slowly sinking into the abyss.
I guess that makes us the band that kept playing, so that's good. The band played on, baby.
Yeah, we're the idiots that keep playing on, eh?
Yep.
Oh, it's all about the friends we made along the way. I can't wait until the deadline passes. Mooch Winnipeg points out why Johnson extension, why not? Just to add it, 5 years, 8.4 mil. Talk about a great deal for Wyatt Johnson and what he's becoming in Dallas as they look to be a team that's going to be awfully tough in the next 5 years in the Central. And we're gonna get the Neil Pionk contract as a way to try and make up for this, aren't we?
Yes, that's what's going to happen.
What a banger, low key though, eh?
That'll be our theme song at the at the deadline if things don't go our way.
Okay, I'm getting a call from my car shop. I'm gonna go on mute for like 2 seconds.
Sounds good. Big Papa, except we didn't get to make out with Kate.
This is Nicholas.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's it's gonna be hard to.
How's it going?
Oh, give me 1 sec there, guys.
I'm doing good. Yeah, I got a couple minutes. Oh, I gotta go for a walk, Mikey.
Yep.
Yeah, what's up here?
There we go. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, we're back to waiting. Got to see what's gonna happen with the Jets and with Chevy, what he's got for us cooking. Because man, I'm nervous, y'all. I'm nervous. This was exactly the outcome I didn't want to happen to happen on the deadline today. We've got to find something. There's got to be something out there for us. Poor Nick and that Bud Dwyer thing. That's rough. So yes, Nick is on the phone right now with Kevin Cheveldayoff, letting him know that we need to get this done. He's actually buying Chevy a plane ticket to Buffalo so that he can go pick up one of these guys because this has to happen. Jcoin 204. You and Rannis Contour Brian got the same idea, man. The real trade deadline were the friends we made along the way. We're all here together to suffer together while we wait to see if Chevy gets us something. Gilbert Marion over on YouTube. Chevy will pull a hockey trade last minute with the prayer hands. We're hoping. I'm with you. And those hockey trades are usually the last ones that come through, right? So we still got 20 minutes before that deadline hits and a little bit of time afterwards for stuff to come through. So we just got to hope. We got to just hope. The goat pass. Pass the joint, Mikey. I've got the bong ready and packed here, the goat path. So if you want to come down, I've got a bowl for you because it's the only way I'm getting through this right now.
All
Welcome
right,
back,
what
Nick.
did I miss, buddy? Yeah, sorry about that.
No, all good. We're just talking about different ways to cope. We're just trying to find ways to hold on for these last 20 minutes.
Yeah, running out of time quickly here.
Jcoin 204. We have something the rest of the Central won't have, and that's chemistry.
Fat Tony 202 says Nick right now, car guy, cost was 1,200, but market is the market, 2,500, and call it a deal. Car was a little bit more expensive than that, unfortunately, this week, and it turned out to be one of my doctors, actually, not the car company. So I'm still waiting to hear about the car. Gilbert Marion says Nick's car is ready, 2,500, please. J Coin, hyping it up. We have something the rest of the Central won't have, and that's chemistry. There's the copium.
There it is.
We've hit the copium stage.
Bill Young asks, over under on team chemistry being mentioned on tonight's broadcast. I'll set that at 5 times minimum.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens here.
And like Hootman said, Jets have to win the President's Cup. That's going to be their big thing going forward from right now until the end of the season. Get that first place. Get that President's Cup. Get that first place. Try to control a little bit of your matchup going forward because it's round 2 and 4 on are going to be real tough, man.
Yeah, they have to get first place if they don't make a real swing here. Sorry, I got snapped back. I got snapped back into it here. Turd says every time Nick's doctor calls, his balls get the tremors. We'll see. Gilbert Marion says Chevy's excuses are warming up. I imagine that's the kind of convo we will hear if they don't make another move here in the next 20 minutes.
Yep. Dante, I will shout out the 60 people watching the trade deadline with us. It's great to have all y'all with us here today. This has been a fucking blast. We really appreciate you hanging out with us and talking through the pain, talking through the hopium. You know, if anybody needs some therapy, now's the time. 1-204-800-0409. You know, we can talk through the pain. It's what we're here for. And we appreciate y'all spending the day with us.
Yeah, definitely appreciate your support. You guys are definitely making this a little bit easier as we try and push through and see what happens with the Winnipeg Jets here. They've made 3 trades. Chris Dreger comes home to be a goalie on the Moose. Brandon Tanev comes back to apparently maybe play with Ehlers. Yeah.
Hello?
Hey, caller, you're on the landing strip.
Hey,
How's it going?
How we doing?
you're breaking up. Your voice is total trash right now.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Hey, caller, you're on the landing strip.
your voice is total
Hey,
trash right now.
Hey, can you mute the show behind you as well? Because it's on a 10-second delay. How's it going?
Oh, they dropped off.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hootman says, we're creating masochists here, having a fun time through the pain. You have to enjoy it. You got to smile.
Yeah,
you got to smile or you cry, right?
That's sometimes what we got to do, right?
Yep.
Hess is still feeling the hope. He says, in Chevy we trust. Guys never let us down. ... Right? Question mark. We're about to find out. This feels like a big moment on the Winnipeg Jets franchise here.
It could be a defining moment, right? This could be the thing that really puts them over if they find that trade, or it could be the meaning to another first round exit. It's hard to say. Really hard to say, man.
We're gonna find out. Jordan Voss says, Nick, rank the Leafs and Jets trades from best to worst. Best would be the Luke Shen trade, probably. And then pick whatever one you don't like more out of Tanev and Lawton. Bill, I'd put a pause on the Chevy statue. Bill says, should I finish building the Chevy statue? I'll put a pause on it here.
Yep. You got
This is
15
the
minutes
moment.
before we decide.
Yeah, we'll let you know in 15 minutes. That's how quick things can change.
Julian says this team has won 3 playoff series in over a decade and just 1 deep run. And yeah, this is the time for that next step. There's got to be something for us, man.
This is a culmination of his entire tenure in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
You have the peak performance, you have the picks, you have the prospects, and you're going to sit here potentially and not swing.
It was mentioned earlier in the chat, I think by Big Papa, that, when you've got as much job security as we know that Kevin Chevendayoff does, it does become a lot easier to not make those big risk swings, those all-in type of pushes, because you don't feel like you have to do something right now to. So in one sense, it can be good because you don't make rash decisions. It can be, it lets you have a little more vision on the patients and everything, but it also means that when you're in this spot, you're less willing to go big. And I'm starting to get worried, man. I'm starting to get worried today.
DB204 says, where are the Ducks today? Mason Mack, Zegras, Donato from the Hawks, Chevy, something. Fat Tony 202 says, so Nick won the Twitter beef on Chevy making trades, silver linings. No, I was saying an impact ad was the one I kept pushing. I don't feel like a win right now.
Nope.
Here we go. Gilbert's bringing the copium.
Hit me.
Jets get first. Dallas and Colorado beat the shit out of each other. I could see a Western final.
I like it.
Cody's back to focusing on the massive accomplishment, which we've talked a lot on this show about and agree with, of winning a President's Trophy. That's back to where our combos moved.
Yep. And I feel like that's going to be a lot of the conversation at the press conference and things going forward.
Julian says, and this is why you have to question what is the real goal of this organization.
Yeah.
And the results don't equal the tenure from Al Camino.
Yeah. Yeah, Julian, I've got some thoughts about what the real goal of the organization is every year, but we'll wait to see what the deadline does first before I go too scorched earth.
$12 minutes.
Home stretch.
Julian says, are the Jets the first place team to stand pat with this kind of asset pool and cap space? Don't know off the top of my head, but this does feel like the moment, and this does feel like it's going to be a missed opportunity here in the next 12 minutes.
Probably not the first. It's probably happened along the way at some point, just statistically speaking, right? But it's not a common thing and is definitely not the normal blueprint for trying to win a Stanley Cup. So, man, I would love to be wrong, though. Man, I will eat all the crow. I will, do all the mea culpas if they stand pat and still end up, just crushing going forward, because chemistry was the thing. Hey, it'd be great to be wrong for the team, but like I said, I'm fucking worried.
We shall see. The year Dallas won, says Fat Tony, won the cup. Avs and Wings loaded up. Dallas stayed pat and won.
There you go. So there's an example right there.
Noah Lafort says, FYI, the Jets haven't announced the Tanev trade. Maybe they're looking at making it bigger. And Seattle does have some pieces that I would like to see a part of something bigger. So there's some hope from Noah.
It's true. Yeah, they haven't announced the Tanev trade yet.
Turd says the Caps didn't do much, did they? No, they just got in Anthony Beauvillier. They're going to be adding Ryan Leonard to their forward mix out of college, too. Yep. I think it made more sense for a team like that to stand pat than Winnipeg.
Yep.
So, interesting that it hasn't been announced, though. That's something to hold on to, I suppose. Something to hold on to before 11 minutes.
Home stretch. Is there a little bit of magic out there left? And it's gone real quiet in terms of local media as well.
Zooch 40 makes the point. Washington did their shopping in FA last year, and that they did.
Yes. Yeah, that is very true. Julian also says the 1999 Dallas Stars come to mind, and the team was on its way to winning back-to-back President's Trophy teams. They were also coming off a conference final the year before, and that's a little bit, I agree, a little bit different than a team that's been trying to
butt
get there.
of the first round.
Yeah. Ready for a call?
Yep.
Hey, caller, you're on the landing strip.
Hey, Mikey, it's Dante. I just wanted to call in our low here and point out that we have more than 70 folks joining us for our chat today, and I just wanted to say thank you guys for doing a great job.
Right on. Thank you so much, Dante. Shout out to you and shout out to all those people. We couldn't do the show if you guys weren't here watching.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And hopefully we have something to get excited about here in the coming minutes. Uh-oh.
Charlie Aneski on YouTube. Welcome back, Sean Monahan, he said with his wrists bleeding.
Good to see you, Charlie. Good to see you. Vegas just tweeted hi 2 minutes ago. So either a great troll from their Twitter account or we're about to get some nasty work out of Vegas.
Yeah, they've been notoriously quiet, and like we said, Olofsson was taken off the ice today, so there's something brewing. Maybe a Boston brewing.
And Hurdle was so late last year too. Oh God. Oh God, Vegas. Fat Tony also adds to the Washington doing their work in free agency last year with that they also traded for Dubois and Mangiapane on the low for both of them as well.
Missed the bread man, yep.
Oh boy, it does not feel good right now, hey?
Nope.
Oh, BR Open Ice is tweeting a pic of or a meme of the GM of Vegas now.
Uh-oh.
Zuch says, so one thing we as fans fail to remember is sometimes the team you're trying to acquire players from covers the other team's prospects more, and that definitely plays in.
Yep. Very true.
Cody says with that Vegas tweet, wonder how much poker Crosby learned from Kessel, ... And Kevin Kowalik points out Kelly McCrimmon has a pair of basketballs he swings for the fences. Zuch on his point says, a la Nelson, New York Islanders might favor Richie over Lambeau, for example. Yeah, I do look at Richie and think that the comparable in Winnipeg is probably Yager, and it would have been a pick-me from the Islanders' perspective.
And I still think Richie's probably still seen as a better prospect.
Is there going to be a surprise? I'm starting to doubt it. Seven minutes, folks. Jordan Voss says Vegas adding Besser to snipe on the third line gives me Pittsburgh vibes. And Wyatt Johnson and Dallas announced their 5-year, $8.4 million extension. Thanks, Dante.
Yep.
And now we wait in anticipation.
See what happens. Bill Young wants to know who we think won the deadline so far. I know you were pretty big on Tampa.
I really like what Tampa did. I really like what they did, bringing themselves back into that Eastern Conference top tier. I think what Colorado's done up the middle compared to where they're at is going to make them a lot harder. And I think Rantanen adding some juice to an already good, really good Dallas team. I like what they did. I like what San Jose did from an asset management perspective with the Wallman thing.
Yep.
I also like Wallman to Edmonton. I think that was a great fit. This guy I was really interested
Great
in.
fit. Yep.
It feels like I like a lot about what happened in the West, and I like Tampa so far.
And just unfortunate that we
And
weren't part of what happened in the West yet.
I guess Florida also did make their move a week out, which I thought was a deal that made sense for both teams where they were. So
Yep.
nothing out of Toronto, nothing out of Winnipeg, or nothing big. Well, I guess Toronto's probably selling the Lawton thing.
Yeah, that's their big one again.
Cody Magnuson says, honestly, over the next 5 years, I'd rather Rance be on the Stars than Stanko. I think that might be a bit far based on where Dallas currently is and what it could mean for putting them over. I might pick Dallas right now to come out of the West.
Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
I think Stanko was a great prospect, but
Yep.
what Rantanen means to that team right now.
I do like what Carolina kind of did overall, like we touched on earlier. It's not a conventional deadline for a team like that, but I do like how they came out of it in the end.
So Zuch40 says Colorado needed these players to compete. Dallas didn't need to do a thing and got the biggest piece. I think that's fair too, and that's where my frustration with Winnipeg is that they need to make a swing to keep at par. Bill Young, either way, great show, guys. Had a blast. Really appreciate that. I'm going to take this time as we wait to see if anything comes up to say, hey, if you enjoyed this show or you enjoy what we're doing, we're here after every game. Similar setup, normally about an hour show after each game. Feel free to come down, like, share, subscribe. We're looking to keep doing this thing. We're having a lot of fun with it, and it's definitely helped, being around a crowd of people very much interested in what's going on here.
Yeah, like I said, we couldn't do this show without y'all, so we appreciate it so much, and we're going to keep bringing you shows like this if you enjoy it.
Julian continues to point out the Avs and Panthers have won cups, and the Stars have had deep runs, and they made moves to strengthen their teams to make another run. The Jets are relying on ... chemistry.
Yep, this is not the way I was expecting, or actually, it was a little bit the way I was expecting. Not the way I was hoping today was going to go. Not the way I was.
Yeah, it was what you were expecting for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was that comment from Drager a couple weeks back, that soft launching of the truth, that lubing the truth. I like to call it, where you start dripping out some of those ideas early on. That way, it's not as big a deal when it happens. Hopefully, and that was the vibe I got. And like we've talked about, Drager is the team's spokesman for the most part. So that really made me go, oh no, no.
Cam Robinson now says, about an hour ago, someone told me to watch out about Vegas. We're watching all right, so something's coming there. The Goat Path says, has anyone asked Chevy how he did in chemistry in school? Could be a valid question if we're relying on chemistry. Apparently, M3RP24 on Twitch is saying, apparently Chris Johnson said on TSN Kane's close on a Raquel deal, so they're going to flip some of those, or one of those picks, maybe both of those picks, and turn Rantanen into Raquel and Stankoven. I don't mind that situation for the next few years.
Like we said, they needed a goal
to get
scorer.
out of that situation.
Yep. They needed a goal scorer. Raquel fills that role.
Jay Coyne saying he's no Walter White when it comes to chemistry.
Fair enough. Yep. He's not even
Bill
Jesse
Young's
Pinkman.
asking. Bill Young's asking if anyone wants to buy a Jets Nelson jersey. Guess he ordered that one a little soon. Cody Magnuson or Dante says, honestly though, it's effing ridiculous that all we did today was Luke Shin and Brandon Tanev, in which Cody Magnuson says, don't forget we got Chris Driedger too, guys.
That's right.
And Al Camino asks, how bad was that room before, to think if they think vibes is enough. All things to wonder.
Yeah.
1 minute. Do we get a late one?
And deals trickle in over the deadline, right? They just have to be submitted by 2 p.m. So things can still come out for a little bit after. We'll keep our eye on it, but it's not looking great.
The Habs kept both Armia and Savard through the deadline.
Yeah, that's surprising on that one. They were asking. They were asking too much, though. That was evident right from the beginning.
Dante says if we didn't move our first round pick today, we should be forced to just forfeit it. So when do we get the official tweet that the NHL Jets are done for the day?
Keep your eye, I guess, on Darren Traeger.
Braden Shen stays in St. Louis. It sounds like everything was quiet in Nashville. Sounds like Besser's staying in Van. Oh, it's so over, eh? Ryan Donato stays with the Blackhawks through the deadline. Not looking good, buddy.
Not looking good. And still no official word on the Tanev one.
Canucks are done for the day from Thomas Drance.
Yep.
So nothing big coming out of them.
Nope.
I don't know how Donato gets through the deadline if you're Chicago.
Yeah, right? That's surprising.
Rantanen was asked why not Carolina. His answer was, I think at the time, obviously, I had to look at all the options because there was no deal when the trade happened. I was kind of in a situation where I had to really think about my life for a long period of time, not only on the ice, but also off the ice. The fit in Dallas, I've been thinking about a lot with my camp and myself, Susanna and everything. So just the fit, I feel everywhere better.
So that's kind of what I thought when we first heard the rumors that they were going to try to flip him again. He didn't want to be there. That's just not the spot for him.
So Cam Robinson says, I'm told we're going to see a handful of noteworthy deals come in over the next few minutes. Dallas, Carolina, Vegas, all seemingly still working.
Yeah, there's going to be
Brad Marchand is a Florida Panther.
Elliot Friedman. Hearing Brad Marchand could be traded to Florida.
So Boston keeps him in the East. That's a big ad so Florida gets
Surprising.
Marchand and Jones as they chase a back-to-back.
Man.
I'm gonna guess that pick is gonna move back in that Jones deal. I'm gonna guess that 26 first is going to Boston.
But isn't that going to mess up their chemistry? They're a championship
Yeah,
team. Why would you want to mess that up? You have to laugh so you don't cry, right?
Florida, eh?
Oh, this is going to be an all-time press conference. I agree, Big Papa. I agree. Marchand's a great fit for that roster, too. That sucks.
This is not good, brother. James Myrtle says, don't think the Leafs are done. There's got to be something in the queue here.
Gotta be. Come on, Chevy. Don't do this to me. Gotta be something there. At least it wasn't Vegas for Marchand. That's true. I'd rather him stay in the East.
Yeah, but what is this Vegas thing going?
Right?
Top line Jay keeps the hopium alive. Usually the local guys are all over tweeting when Chevy's done. Hopefully something is in the queue.
Yeah, it is interesting that they've all been real quiet for the last half an hour.
James Nell says, ride or die now. Congrats on the stream, by the way. Appreciate you stopping in and being a part of it.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Definitely been a fun day. We've been really happy to see different names and different faces giving this a look, and we've had fun just feeling the feels with everybody here.
Yeah.
Nothing late coming from the Oilers, so Oilers are done.
Yep. And yeah, it's been radio silent on most of the local media guys. So if the Jets were completely done, you'd think somebody would have that by now. So I'm going to hold on hope. I'm holding on that there is in the queue, that they submitted a trade in the queue, and it's just waiting.
Jcoin24 or 204. Would someone please think of the chemistry?
Would somebody please think of the chemistry?
Hey, the fact that Tanev deal hasn't been announced is an interesting thing here. I'm holding on to.
That's the part that I'm real curious about. Why hasn't that been announced? Why haven't we seen the Winnipeg Jets are done? If there was nothing else going on, if they hadn't submitted something and we were waiting on, I wonder if they're waiting to get some confirmation.
Sam Bennett and Brad Marchand on the same team is going to be so annoying, eh?
Oh my god, yeah, that's gonna be such a pain in the ass. Fuck.
Hoot man, thanks for being here. Says nice stream. See ya. We appreciate you being
Thanks for
here.
hanging out,
Gilbert
man.
Marion. I can see Ferraro. Gilbert. We'll see. GoPat says ESPN has the Tanev deal listed on their site. Ken Weeb now says the Winnipeg Jets are done for the day.
There it is. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. What?
Hey, let's just feel those feels for a minute. Let that just play for a second here.
Alrighty, I'll cue it up.
Wow.
That was something.
Man, it was fun. It was fun. It was fun to believe again for a bit.
It was fun to believe.
This team was a lot of fun to believe in, but come playoff time, hey, go chase for a President's Trophy because, I think the Cup dream just died, brothers. I think the Cup dream just died.
At minimum, it just got exponentially harder. Just looking at the arms race in the Central, the way that teams in the East have loaded up, this was the opportunity to make a real big push this season. And I'm worried that we're going to see a repeat of last year's playoffs now. Because if I look at that playoff run last year, and if you throw Brendan Tanev and Luke Shen into that mix, I don't know if that's putting you over the Colorado Avalanche then. Never mind the Colorado Avalanche with Brock Nelson. Never mind the Dallas Stars with Mikko Rantanen. So, man, I'm not as excited about the path forward, I'm going to be honest.
What is the end goal at the end of the day? What is the point of all this?
To extract as much money from the province as they possibly can without having to overspend on high-end salary so they don't make those type of moves. I don't think it's... We put a lot on... I think we kind of put too much of our own ideas into the management group and into the coaching staff when we're trying to will something into existence. We keep hoping that Scott Arniel is going to, get creative with the lineup and, try something new. And that's never been, this hasn't been once what he's attempted. We keep thinking, this is going to be the year they're finally going to move some of those prospects to get that high end ad at the deadline. No, they still just want to stick with their evaluations and their guys. I think we kind of just need to settle into the fact that they are who they are who we thought they were, or whatever the fuck, they're telling us who they are. We need to believe them. It's I think a little I'm kind of at the point where you kind of just have to believe the exact word out of their mouth when they're telling you, because I don't think there's more to it than that. I think they like their own prospects, didn't want to, put out the big ones for a big ad today. They'll be happy about their quote unquote depth ads. They'll be happy about their own rentals and keeping their UFAs. They'll be happy about their prospects in a few years, and they'll be happy to go out in the first or second round.
Lucas Trapp, you have not missed anything.
A lot of crying.
We can get
from me.
We can get the excitement that Murat's saying that Tanev will be at the game tonight, so we might even get to see Brandon Tanev play tonight.
Oh, yay. We should have known this was the case when he asked, was it Hellebuck last night after the game, what he thought of getting to play with Brandon Tanev potentially again? We should have known last night that this was the case. This is it, man.
Brandon Carlo to the Leafs at the buzzer.
Nice.
They really are betting on this.
Yep. I'm worried. I am worried about what it's going to look like in the playoffs. I'm just going to have to hope that, I got to hope they just keep rolling. I got to hope that this power play, which has been historically good, keeps rolling. I got to hope that they find some rhythm once the playoffs hit and that Hellebuck is otherworldly for that deep run. We've talked all year that this is a team by committee. Everything they do, they have to do as a group. They have to do together, and they can't have anybody missing. But when we get to the playoffs, there can't be any injuries. We don't have the depth to address any injuries. And I'm talking about like the impact players, right? Their skill guys, their number ones. You lose one of those guys, the whole thing falls apart. So they're going to have to, try to get to the playoffs in first place, try to get there healthy, and hope that that historic power play and a magic season from Connor Hellebuck can push the envelope. Because, I look at last year's playoff run, and I look at what the teams around us did, and it's not good. Not good.
Man, Ben Howard says it best. I'm in denial. What's the next stage of grief? Chris B says, did they even get 5% better? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Anger is after denial. So if feel free to get mad, start yelling, screaming, throw something.
Hey, at least you know what? Hey, there should be no longer any doubt. Obviously, we got optimistic. There should be no longer any doubt where the limit comes with the Winnipeg Jets organization and where the top end lies. We're gonna enjoy some good regular seasons.
Yep.
You're gonna buy in that all the prospects are gonna turn out, even though the team won't use them.
The team won't ever play them.
The cycle go.
We draft, but we don't develop. We hoard prospects, but we don't want to cash in. Yeah, it's in the moment. It's very frustrating right now to see the opportunity that they had, all that cap space, all those prospects. You had picks available, but like I said, they've repeatedly told us what their MO is. They don't want to move prospects. They don't want to. That is not, unless it's prospect for prospect, like we saw with Rutger, and it's a disgruntled player type of thing. They don't want to move prospects. Once they draft a guy, that is their guy. That is part of the family now. So he's going to stay until the bitter end. They're willing to move, first round picks, which is great, to try to snag a rental. But when you're in first place, nobody's giving you a deal. Nobody's going to be like, yeah, sure, we'll hook you up. And, so you're going to be competing with other teams also going for that rental. And if that other team is willing to offer up a blue chip prospect, you're going to lose out because you go, no, we like our guy too much. We want him to play on the Moose for 8 years and then eventually maybe get a game in when someone gets hurt. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're back to. Bobo Boo Boy. I agree. If I'm Bucky, I'd be pissed after locking up based on their assurance they're going to try to win cups now. I've harped on this the entire show today. It's a slap in the face to the guys on the ice when you aren't willing to spend the capital to bring them the help that they fucking deserve. This isn't a wild card team that is, maybe going to sneak in, maybe not, that is just scraping for wins. They went out and they put up a fucking ridiculous start to the season. They've won games they shouldn't have. They've had a historic power play. They've done everything that's been asked of them. They've played above their station. They've done more than what you would expect from that collective. And the other side of it is the team has to then reward that. They have to then invest in that. And I don't want to hear it as a positive thing of, oh, we just, we're high on our own guys and we believe in this group to go forward and that's why we didn't add. No, that's not what that means. If you believed in this group, you would have gotten them help. So I'm going to be real upset to hear those very obvious, falsities that are going to be laid out, I'm sure, at the press conference.
Yeah, this is going to be a frustrating one to watch. I just don't got much to say right now, honestly.
Yep.
Disappointed. Should have expected it. Felt like if there was ever going to be a time, it was right now, and clearly there's not going to be a time.
Yep. The signs were there. They had everything lined up to go out and try to make that push. And again, I'll harp on it one more time. It's a different story if you went out there with your best offers, all your guys on the table, ready to make a deal, and you just couldn't because somebody else brought a better deal to the table and they beat you out on that player. Fucking, that's just life. That's just the way that the deadline works sometimes. But to come out this morning and tell people, the price is just too high, we didn't like what we were looking at there, it's just such a slap in the face, and it's heartbreaking, man. It's heartbreaking.
I like Tony's point here. Jets have drank their own Kool-Aid. I could definitely see them being high on their own supply a little bit, but
yeah, again, my pushback is if you were high on this group, you would have done whatever you can to help them. I hate seeing deadline ads as being a negative thing for the players in the room. Oh, someone's coming to take their job, or oh, the management doesn't think they're good enough, so they had to bring in somebody. That's not what it means. You're bringing in the help because they're good, because they're doing well. You're rewarding that group with backup to go out and win a fucking Stanley Cup. Like, we can't get into this habit of, oh, well, we believe in them, so that's why we did nothing to help them. It's just, I can't buy it. I just can't.
Bobo goes, my only real copium is that they're going to say Monahan and Toffoli didn't really help, so they're trying to maintain chemistry instead of shake up lines, especially when you consider how they haven't really tried any internal line juggling at all, instead of saying those players maybe weren't the right players. The problem with the Jets ceiling is the fact that they haven't tried to line juggle, and despite the record right now, if you look at the underlying performance of those lines, there's a real reason to be concerned once the playoffs gets here, and that's why an ad was needed. And unfortunately, plan A is to try this out, and hope I'm wrong, but it feels like another disappointing spring coming in Winnipeg.
It's in the moment, that's how it's feeling right now, and we'll see how the next little while goes. Maybe Luke Shen turns the clock back 10 years and he plays like he's 25. Maybe who knows? But I just, in the moment, I'm not looking forward to that eventual first or second round meetup with a Colorado type team, because it didn't go well last year, and like I said, with that improved Colorado roster right now, I don't know if I can willingly bet on the Jets in that matchup.
To leave $6 million plus on the table too, if you don't like the prices out there, why not try and help be a broker and bring in some assets? Like eat some of the cap and replenish some of those picks if you're worried about replenishing or moving picks out.
Yep.
Ben Howard asks a really good question. It's something I wonder if that's going to come up. Do the Jets have an internal cap? And that could be a thing with the realities of the dollar and where the attendance has gone.
It's interesting. We've had multiple media reports in the past talk about that the Jets absolutely do have an internal cap that they work off of. But the team will be real quick always to tell you that, oh, no, that's not the case. And if we are good, I have the quote memorized because it's one of my favorites. If we are good enough, we are absolutely willing to spend up to the cap limit. We will spend up to the cap ceiling if we're in a position to win. If we're in a position that we're not struggling to make it through, we are absolutely entirely willing to spend up to the cap ceiling. Except when that opportunity finally presents itself and we don't? Question mark?
Fat Tony bringing some hopium. This Twitch stream will feed families if the Jets win 2 rounds, and I'd love for people to look back on this and be able to dunk on it, but I'm just, I can't see it.
We get a deep run, come back, flip all of this, spread it all around, make it viral, make me
Dude.
the fucking loser of the hour. That'd be great, but man, I don't see it.
Sil just said McIntyre just called out all the cap space being there. We'll see where that conversation goes. DB204 says should have known when Vlad got the extension. Charlie Onyx says, in the words of the almighty Ralph Wiggum, we're in danger.
We're in danger.
I want to thank you all for being here. We'll see where this goes. We'll talk about Chevy's presser and the team's stance after the next game's post-game show. And I think we'll end this stream here today. What do you think?
Yeah, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you all so much for coming out today. This was an absolute blast. We really appreciate it. Like we said, we couldn't do this without y'all. We'd just be talking into an empty void and crying into our fucking coffee cups. So thank you so much for being here, coping with us. And, we've got a game tonight still. We've got a game against the Devils, which means we've got a post-game show for you tonight. So, definitely jump back on this evening. Tell your friends to come back on with you. We can keep the pity party going. We'll see you then.